Hello, everyone, and welcome to Game 6 of the World Series. This is WGN Baseball.
It's not. I can't put the score up. It's 7-2 right now.
Oh, they got another one.
The Indians have gained another run. It looks like we're going to a Game 7 tomorrow.
If all things continue on pace here,
Yep.
yes, it looks inevitable that well, I don't know if inevitable is the word. Looks likely right now.
The odds are very good of it.
They are looking very good. Of course, welcome everyone to Smashbox TV's podcast number 117. And it's been about that many years, 117 or so, since the Cubs have seen the World Series. Myself, Terry Miller, I'm a huge Cubs supporter throughout all these years. I've always enjoyed watching and following along the Cubs. Not as much in the last few years as I did as a child, but very exciting times for everyone in the Cubs Nation. And here we are, time and date stamping our podcast.
And I'm here to root against them.
That's fine.
Someone has to root for him. Someone has to root against him, and that's me. I really have I've said this last week. I have no skin in the game. I don't really care who wins one or the other. But it would just make me happier to see the Cubs lose.
Which, other than being a spiteful dick, there's no reason it would make you happy.
No, because being a Milwaukee fan.
Oh, you're a huge Cleveland fan? Okay, go on.
No, not at all. Being a Milwaukee fan, usually you see a lot of Illinois people come up, and most of them are dickheads.
Okay.
Wow. There's some really nice and great. We've got good Cubs fans out there, and they're fans of ours, and I'm friends with some. But when you go to a game, it's usually they all come up in buses and things like. It's like a drunken debauchery, and I'm not a fan of most of their fans.
I think that could be said of any rivaling team that happens to be nearby.
I think it's a nearby thing.
It is
because
that could be said the
you
same.
travel in packs and you're not driving. Like if you're not driving, you're going to be more likely to probably, imbibe in some more. Get the fluids flowing, and it tends to just. It tends to never end well.
And I'm sure the same could be naturally said of Packers fans visiting the Bears and or
Bears
Brewers fans. Brewers fans going down and trying to visit the Cubs games and so on and so forth. I'm sure there's a lot of give and take. And
I'm
it's
sure
funny,
there is.
Being around, obviously, this rivalry for a number of years now, it's always the same thing. People, Cubs fans hate the Brewers fans, and the Brewers fans hate the Cubs fans. There's, I guess that's just inherent. That's going to be, part of the actual rivalry.
If I lived in Chicago and I were a White Sox fan, I'd be rooting for the Cubs. I think, just because it's an inner city thing. You kind of want you want the Cubs to win for the city of Chicago. I would assume, unless
again, there's plenty of there's
fan,
diehards. Steve Finaris, I'm calling you out, pal. I saw you posting. I know you're one of those White Sox types. That's cute and all. And I saw him making some nasty comments. And again, it's all part of sports, all part of the rivalries. But you personally, you have absolutely zero dog in this fight.
Other than I want to see the continuation of the traditional losing.
AKA spite.
It's not spite,
okay.
not at all.
Okay, well,
just being nearby. You don't want to have to listen to Cubs fans say, "Oh, we finally got one." Blah blah blah. Like, congratulations, you bought a World Series like every other big team.
So you're gonna see the Cubs win a World Series in your lifetime. Well, technically the Brewers.
The Brewers won one as the Milwaukee Braves.
Okay. So you're going to see them, though, in your lifetime win one and not the Brewers up into this point. That's kind of interesting.
Well, yeah, but you could say that about any franchise that hasn't won. I mean, Vikings fans have had to watch the Packers fans win, and, Packers fans have had to watch other fans win in the past, since 2010, I think when we won. Yeah, I think the Packers won in 2010. So, yeah.
At any rate, so it's pretty exciting. I'll admit I left as late as possible. I was watching the game. Sorry if you're not a baseball fan at all. I'm sure there's probably plenty of people clamoring and saying how much they hate baseball and everything, and I understand that as well. And normally, again, I don't get all too worked up. Obviously, for the last 100 and some years, there hasn't been as much excitement. But I was a kid in around the late 80s. I believe it was 89 when the Cubs made a good run. And then in 2003, they made a run. I was down in Wrigley hanging out. In fact, this clown was with me.
I was.
Hanging out behind Wrigley. So there hasn't been a ton to cheer for, and I usually don't get too active. This is the most active.
To be fair, I was rooting against them then as well.
And that's fine.
I'm not like a bandwagon hater, just it's been a while.
No, I know. The Bruku. Okay. So so I do apologize if you're not a baseball fanatic. I know I've been jabbing back and forth with our current world champion Ricky Wysocki. He of course is an Indians fan. All of a sudden everybody cares about Ohio this year. It's kind of funny, all their big accolades that they're getting, and
that's another reason. It is kind of cool to have like your championships in one area, like for a year or two. Like LA did it
sure.
in I think it was 2002 when they had their baseball team and their football, not their football team. I think their basketball team won because they didn't have a football team at that point. So it is kind of a cool thing for a city to have a group of champions. But again,
sure, I can't wait to see who wins. I hope the national pogo stick champion comes out of Cleveland this year as well, or wherever Ricky's rooting for. So good luck with that. So it is exciting again. 7-2. What were they at? Just as we were about to log in,
7-2.
Fifth inning, I believe, or sixth inning.
Sixth inning, I believe.
So, all right, we're gonna move on. Tonight we will be having the lovely and talented and ever so polite and soft-spoken Stephen Storrie of Dynamic Disc. He's going to be joining us. He's going to talk about the Piney Woods PDGA A-tier that's taking place not this weekend but next. It's a huge capacity. They've worked very hard. I know he's working with the local club. We'll ask some questions about that. But it's kind of one of those bigger events that's still going on yet here as we close out the 2016 season. There are a number of A-tiers. I saw Nolan Grider post earlier today about how he hasn't missed a VPO, a Veterans Park Open, since 1999. I believe that's actually taking place this weekend. And we didn't have anyone from the VPO reach out to us. So we're glad to talk about the Piney Woods, which is going to be taking place next weekend. And we'd love to see more people sign up. And I know, again, we'll get to some of those details. We'll also touch a little bit on, from the DD front, we'll talk a little bit about the Glass Blown Open and some of the massive chaos that took place yesterday. And by chaos, we mean registration.
Chaos.
Good chaos, certainly. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then I'm going to throw out a thanks right away. I've got Chase Hayden, who offered to help out when I was looking to integrate a little bit of my Disc Golf Guy logo along with a Cubs logo, or a Cubs theme at least. I put it out there on Facebook, and Chase was willing to help out, as well as Tommy A. out of Illinois. So thank you guys to both of you for a little bit of graphic help. I really appreciate it. Not too often. I was just thinking, like, I never, even when the Packers have done well throughout all these years, of course, and I'll get excited and I'll cheer and such. But I don't normally get this excited or worked up about any other sport outside of disc golf. So, and maybe rightfully so. This as they say, maybe a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It doesn't look like that. They're building a solid team. They've built a solid team.
They've got 3 good years coming up.
And I think we're going to see more from it. And I know we got a ton of Cubs fans out there, which is exciting to see so many people like Mike Barnett of Sun King Disc, who's so great to disc golf and does so many amazing things. He's got some Illinois roots, and I see him out there as much as possible, taking in all the action all the way from Florida, and then great smashies like Dan Harbeck come to mind, who are on board with everything that's going on. So I would also like to, I'm going to go ahead, as we think a little bit about results and tournaments, we're going to, it looks like Uli is looking to join us tonight, so we'll have a quick conversation with him, talk about Uli's picks. We've got some great stuff from last weekend, exceptionally great stuff from last weekend, so we'll talk a little bit about that, and then we'll pick another event that we can do some points for next week.
Should I spoil it and say you tied me from last weekend? What did you do?
No, we'll see. You sure about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tie for second. So you get no third place points. Way to go.
We'll see. So also, I want to, and since we don't have Dynamite, who will probably be joining us sometime in the next few weeks again, I would like to send a little bit of a shout out to the inaugural La Nina Open And that the winner of that was Nicole Johnson. She's from Spokane Valley, Washington. She shot the best overall score for the weekend, and that earned her, as it states to me, a $1,200 contract with El Guapo Baskets. And I believe part of that is that she has 3 baskets to do whatever she wishes with, if she wants to sell them or give them away or raffle them or do whatever. I believe that was part of what I read up on it. It sounds like it was all around great weekend. And to take that one step further, I wanted to look at some of the results. I saw that there were 14 open women, and she won handedly, shooting 17 under par, edging out our AM Worlds champion, Sayananda, who shot a 5 under par and took second to her. So Nicole Johnson is your open champion, shooting a score of 17 under par. 75 women at this tournament. So we talk about women's events. We talk about, all of the various, I don't want to say just hot pockets and hot sections of the country, but we talk about some of the biggest events, and a women's only event that has 75 participants is certainly worth noting here at the end part of October. So congrats to Nicole, and congrats to Cy for taking second over Melody Bailey, who tours around quite a bit. We see Smashy out there, Amy Lewis and Sally West, also, and Sarah Nicholson from the PDGA, previously from the PDGA, out there. So congrats to the rest of the women who competed, and to El Guapo Baskets. Thanks for all the support. I know you're doing a lot of big stuff out there, and you've supported some of the efforts that we've put on, and we appreciate it. So looks to be a great event. Yeah. Oh, it's so exciting. Everything's just so exciting.
You know what's exciting?
You tell me.
The Oklahoma Open, presented by Innova Disc Golf.
I knew it was.
Powered by Heiserbaum.
Matt Seary and Company. What do you got?
Matt Seary and Company. All right, we're going to start with the Open Woman. And I say that because there was only one of them. It was Miss Jen Allen.
Oh, I was going to guess that.
It's Oklahoma, so, out of Tulsa area. She is a local in that area. And she was the only one. She shot, so she won, taking home $165, shooting right a little bit below her rating. It looked like she averaged about 915. She's a 926 rated golfer. So congratulations, Jen. I'm sure that you would have played very well regardless of who was competing against you. In the Masters division, Eric Rainey beating Ron Converse, which is kind of a surprise. Eric Rainey, a 986 rated player. He shot 36 under par. Ron Converse, which was 1,004, beating, Rainey beating the likes of Converse and Smith and Mark Wysocki, I believe it's pronounced. PDGA number 6190. So, pulling down some pretty big names there. He shot a 36 under. Ron Converse shot a 30. George Smith shot a 26. Eric took home $550. Then we're going to get into the open field, where winning Coda Hatfield, which is a name he was a pretty big name about 10 years ago. It looked like he was one of those guys that was probably going to jump onto the scene, kind of make a big splash, and he ended up becoming a really good local player. He pretty much plays in his region. He's usually in the top 5 in whatever area he's playing, but he's not much of a traveler anymore. He took down the likes of Mr. Avery Jenkins, playing, I believe, his 7th or 8th event of the year, he said. Avery shot a 39 under, averaging over his rating. It looks like Avery averaged about 1030 golf, but Coda edged him out by 2 strokes for $1,250. Taking 3rd place was Bo Tillman. 4th place was Larry Gardner, followed up by 5th place Austin Hannum. 6th place, Devin Owens. So nice. Coda taking down some big names in Tulsa.
And Coda, surprisingly, after being rated over 1,000 for many years and then dabbling in and out of the traveling and touring scene, a 981. He's the best 981 golfer out there, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, he is. He was rated 1,021 at one point back in 2010. He really burst onto the scene in 2005 when he broke 1,000, and he was playing 100. He got 116 rated rounds in 2008. Yep. Now he dipped down in about a year and a half ago, and he's back up to using about 30, 40 rated rounds, but he's only, I put that in quotes, a 981 rated player. But like you said, probably the best 980 rated player maybe in the country. So congratulations, Dakota.
And Avery Jenkins did make a quick post. Do you recall what it said? Or
Nope.
I'll do some of the research. I know Avery Jenkins mentioned that he was out playing this weekend. Avery, like you or me, doesn't have a lot of weekends to actually enjoy the game of playing disc golf. He's usually teaching. He's usually frequently.
I disagree. I think Avery's playing a lot of golf. He's not playing competitive golf.
Oh, okay.
Because
he's not playing in tournaments.
He's not playing tournament golf because he's out there. He's traveling a lot. I see all the time him hitting new courses and playing all these different places. So Avery's still playing quite a bit. He's not putting in the practice time. He's not putting in the tournament time that he used to. I mean, clearly it shows he's still shooting 1,020 rated golf. He hasn't put down the discs. They're not collecting any dust. It's just that his competitive game has taken a backseat to his dealings with Disc Golf World Tour now.
Well, he had made a post yesterday on the Facebooks saying he was happy with his 1027. He was consistent with his 1027 average rating for the 2 rounds, but he knows he could have done better. And he says he wants to send a special thanks to Joe Rotan and Matt Seary, of which Johnny V and I both know are great individuals out there doing really good things. And hats off to Coda, he says. So hashtag Tulsa Disc Golf and Tulsa Disc Sports Association and all the great things that they're doing out there. So, it's great. I've told you this the other day, and this was true a few weeks ago. When I had that rare opportunity to actually be around on a weekend to some degree, or at least be in state, the thought of being a little bit competitive and going and playing somewhere, I kind of get that itch every once in a while. And looking at next year's schedule, knowing that there's going to be very few opportunities for that, there's every once in a while I'll take a peek out there, whether it's sanctioned or not, doesn't matter as much, but every once in a while I take a little peek to see if there's something around that I'd really like to play. And I'm way more of a fair weather golfer if I have any indication that it's going to be like nasty weather. Back in the day when I played 20, 30, 40 tournaments in a year, I couldn't care less what the weather was going to be. I was going to go out and play in it. And now I do look, and I'm like, I don't need to be out there.
70% chance of thunderstorms.
My game's not polished at all and hasn't been for 3 to 5 years. So, I don't need to go outside and be miserable. I never used to shy away from that. But now, I will. So, let's talk about the weather for one quick second. They were saying, I think, 71 degrees at the Indians game, and it was in the 70s here in Milwaukee?
Yeah, it was about 70 degrees today because I looked this morning, I get my kids ready for school and everything, and I, long sleeves and pants, and then I was like, I better check to see if I need, a winter jacket or just whatever. I looked, I was like, holy crap, it's going to be 70 today. So at that point, no jacket. Just let the kids go in long sleeves. They're good to go.
That's what you do. Take off the pants and jacket. So we, to real quickly go back, Robert McCall is out there. Thanks for joining us, Robert. Says that Coda crushes. There's no doubt about that. I think the story that I had about Coda, and I feel like I've told it before here, is many, many years ago, it was discussed, and I don't remember if it was him or it was through the grapevine or whatever. I thought it was him that was telling the story. I was at the memorial, and someone had said that he that he two'd what is hole number 10? Yes, what is hole number 10 at the Vista XL layout. So for those of you who are familiar, that is the furthest hole out that goes out away from Duke's before you make the U-turn and start coming back. And it's the furthest possible hole out. It's
with the trees lined all to the right.
Yeah, on the right. And in various years, there's been OB on the right or not, and it's been marked OB or not. And then on the left, there's some OB sidewalk, and then you can find the reservoir or the dam or the water on the left. But someone said he had like a drop-in 2 with a roller on hole number 10. Now, I'm sure someone on the board can either confirm or deny. Kevin McCoy, I know you're watching the game, but I know you're watching Smashbox. So somebody out there should confirm or deny that. But I believe that was and I was just, to me, that's one way you get noticed is when the tournament, the memorial, is talking about somebody having a drop-in or a very short putt or something like that on hole number 10, because that is an amazing feat for sure.
certainly is.
Oh, good. Also, out on the board, we see that Robert has paid a number of anti-trolls. Some guys out there supporting him, giving him some extra accolades. He's rounded up his posse to kind of bring it in hard tonight. I think he's vying for a job, trying to make his case for next year's involvement here with what we're doing. So good on you, Robert. I see your pal Zach, air quotes, is out there as well.
I'm sure he'll receive his PayPal, short enough. So.
Either that or Robert's got like 9 computers up and they're all just logged in different Gmail accounts so that they can comment along here. Either way. Thanks for the making me think of the memory regarding Coda Hatfield. Super stud.
That's really all the major events we had this past weekend. We're going to talk about
Vegas.
We'll talk about Vegas when we get Uli on, I think.
Oh,
so
okay. I was going to talk about it now.
Oh, do you want to talk about it?
No, we don't.
We got a little bit.
It makes way more perfect sense to talk about it when Yuli's on the line. All I can say is that I think it was Bobby Music's girlfriend Kayla. I think she was working a live feed for Facebook so that we could kind of watch some of it. I remember they turned it on, and I felt like a real consumer for a moment. All of a sudden, the feed came on, and it was on Bobby Music's line or on his Facebook, and I click on it, and without hesitation, I'm like, "What hole are they on? What's the score? How many holes are left?" Like it just spewed right out of me, and within moment, and she wasn't doing any commentary. She was just following along the drives at the time, and then I was like, oh yeah, they just started, like literally just started, and I forgot about the time zones and all that other stuff, but they were on their very first hole, and it was amazing how immediately like exciting and engaged I was just by watching the feed. And rarely do I have that opportunity to sit back and just watch a feed, but I found myself completely sucked into it. So we'll get more of that from Uli and talk about him. We mentioned a few moments ago Jen Allen had competed at the Oklahoma event, and she went uncontested.
Mm-hmm.
In Vegas, rather than going uncontested, we saw Katrina Allen step into the men's division.
Really?
And and played against the men in the MPO division. I call it the men's division. I guess that's Male Pro Open. She competed in the men's division. I believe she finished just out of the cash. And again, we might be able to get a few of these details a little bit later, but I do want to bring that up quickly. It was the Las Vegas Halloween Classic presented by our friends over at Legacy. And yes, she finished 2 spots out of the cash. So the last, they paid down to what looks to be a tied for 12th. So 12th and 13th got a little bit of money, which was Spencer Ling and Josh Newton. And then 14th, Joey Madrid and Jonathan Rumley. And then 16th was Katrina Allen. So she was a couple spots out and what looked to be 5 strokes. 202 was the last cashing score, and she shot 207. So, and that was finishing in 16th place out of 25 men. So, pretty cool. And again, maybe we'll get a little bit more insight on that later. Maybe we won't. But so rather than seeing her go uncontested in the women's field, she played in the men's field.
Good for her.
Yeah, not the first time we've seen that from Katrina.
It won't be the last.
And it probably won't be the last. All right. Do we have Steven Storrie? Is he available? Is he around? I wonder if I've got any messages from him. I'm going to stall for a moment. Why don't you give us an update on that Cubs score? Post Grand Slam, the Grand Slam we saw earlier, make it 7-0.
It's funny because it was 3-0. I walked away from the TV to go get my kid's toothbrush.
Mm-hmm.
I come back and I was like, what the? It's 7-0. I'm like, oh, Grand Slam.
Mm-hmm.
Steven Storrie just came online, so that's good. Cubs are still winning 7-2. So we're going to give Steven Storrie a dial-up right now.
Dial-up connection?
Yeah, I hope not.
Make the noise.
No.
You're no fun.
You're right, I'm not any fun. I haven't been fun in years. All right.
I know.
All right, go ahead. If Steven can just send us his video, that would be perfect.
Little button that probably has a video-looking camera with a line through it. Or click that, and it will then provide it. And wow, and he's looking good tonight, folks. You guys are in for a real treat.
You are. All right, so let's introduce Steven Storrie.
Hey, buddy.
How's it going?
How are you doing?
Doing great. How are y'all?
Good.
We're doing well.
So here we are, 8, 9, 10 days away from a pretty massive A-tier that's late in the season. How do you have any gas in the tank? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. I truly don't know. No, it's I guess it's all the challenges that constantly push me and Bradley with the Dynamic Texas crew here. It's just the fact that we're always looking for something more, always looking to better ourselves and to hopefully I guess that's really it. Just continue to get better. That seems to be a trend with a lot of the Dynamic Disc crew. Obviously, everyone knows about Glass Blown Open, which filled 750 spots or 780 spots, whatever it was, in like 2 hours last night or something ridiculous. Sorry to those who weren't able to sign up, but all those who are on the wait list, hey man, we're still 6 months, 7 months out, so the chances are looking good right now. But I think it's just a challenge. This year we've, me personally and my staff, we've been getting a lot more compliments on, running really organized shows, running tight ships, and just making sure that we're giving the best value we can at tournaments. So it really pushes us just to advance to the next level, I guess.
Well, and I'll apologize. We're blessed. I get to see you all around the country. Not everyone knows exactly who you are or what you're doing. Can you go ahead and break it down? How you're involved. I mean, I know you're a celebrity and all, but we've got to let everyone know.
I guess I made the switch from the service industry to, I guess this still is the service industry, if you ask me. But
Yeah, it is.
The restaurant business back in May of 2012, and started working for Dynamic Disc. And what I did for the first 3.5 years was I took out the Chasing the Chains tour rig that Dynamic Disc has. That was their first full-time touring RV. So I got to travel the majority of the country for that first 3.5 years with them, and it was a lot of fun. Got to meet all the big names. I still get excited to see those guys and girls because I don't get to see them anymore. I watch them on. They're so much more famous now, and to watch them on Smashbox and and on the Pro Tour and all that good stuff. So I miss seeing all those guys. I definitely miss the road. I don't miss it 8 months at a time, but I miss it. But that's what I did for the first 3.5 years. Basically, I drove the RV around, promoted Dynamic Discs and our disc, because as most everyone knows, we didn't start making discs until December of 2012. And so after that 3.5 years, Jeremy and I decided that it would be best that I start taking my investment to the next level, which was the Dynamic Disc franchise pro shop here in Texas. Bradley Crowe is my general manager and is the one who kept those doors open for 3.5 years while I was out, on the road playing disc golf and enjoying the fruits of the tour life. And since then, I guess in 2000, that was in 2014. In 2015, we took over the Dynamic Disc tournament operation in Texas. Jeremy Rusko, Clay Hauser, and Adam Searle were among the first three that were the tournament crew that would come down to Texas, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 times a year. And that's really what connected me to Dynamic Disc before I started working with them. And he turned all of those events over to us that he had worked so diligently and so hard on, and to make them what they were. It helped us a lot. I had a lot of tournament directing experience on the road from that 3.5 years. And the first year was rough. A lot of people didn't know what to think about it. You see someone like Jeremy for 5 years, however long he was coming down to Texas, and just to watch him leave and never come back, and he comes back, and we love it every time he does, but not nearly as often. And
he's not listening. You don't have to say anything nice about it,
right? But he created such a love and such a want and such a need to play dynamic disc tournaments down here in Texas. The people, I could tell people were really skeptical when we took over. They didn't know us very well. They knew that we had a shop in Lewisville, Texas, and we did all that good stuff. But it took us about a year to get our feet on the ground, I feel like, with the tournament players and the avid tournament players. But 2016, beginning of this year, heck, probably starting with our first event back in January, we kick off the year with a tournament called Straddle the Brazos in Waco. It's a Waco Charity Open event that we do, or a Waco Charity Open fundraiser event that we do, excuse me. We started really hearing compliments about, hey, you guys are doing a great job. We enjoy it, and you take some of those things in stride because, people are nice, and they like to give you pats on the back and things like that. But throughout the year, we started hearing it more and more, not just from the same people, but from different people, and it really makes you start to think, are we doing a good job? Are we doing everything we can? Are they just saying this? Are they expecting more? Or have we really worked that hard? And I believe we have, but, I don't play my events. I don't see it from the player side. So it's hard for me to, I guess, to tell myself, oh, you did a great job. I think, my goal is, if we're doing a tournament, I just want it to fill. And if it can fill, everything after that is just going to fall into place. But this year has really been a blessing on us. It's been one of our busier years in Texas, definitely way more busy than 2015. And people are showing so much appreciation, and it just makes us want to do more. It makes us want to put a higher value on our tournaments, and it keeps us from getting burnt out. Since Terry, that this is what we do full time. 8 days a week, just go. So.
Well, and I remember, I think the last time I saw you was probably at Worlds, and we see the effort and the energies at both Worlds and the Glass Blown of the dynamic disc crew and how they always come together. And then there's people that are taking over entire courses, and there's people that take over sections of tournaments, and everyone has their jobs and their roles, and you guys all work together as such a well-oiled machine, even though you're coming in from Texas or whatever. You have all these different components, but when it's go time, you guys all seem to gel really well together, and that becomes very obvious and apparent to so many of our participants, so many of our tournament players. I think it's always funny. It's one of those things where when you go to a well-run tournament and you get used to them, it kind of becomes second nature. And it's almost not until you go to a horrible tournament are you like, oh man, I didn't realize how good we had it. And I think that, and that's great because you guys are setting the norm and the standard as people have come to expect good things. And it's not until they sometimes go elsewhere or have another experience where they're like, wow, yeah, that wasn't as good as it should have been, or that's not what I'm used to, or so that's all a compliment to your efforts. When you're putting on an event, let's get into the specifics for next weekend. We see there's kind of a little Texas swing, and we had Eagle in the background, but we had Tina and we had Eric on just last week, and they were kind of talking about the Texas swing and the people that are still going down there, even though it's 70 degrees in Wisconsin today. But this Texas swing, and you guys are a big part of that, taking place next weekend. Set up the tournament if people don't know about it or what's going on, kind of set it up for everyone.
So we made the jump from B tier to A tier. And I guess my involvement in Piney Woods, I don't know, I guess started in 2013 maybe. And, again, since last year, was it last year, I guess? I mean, I had been a part of it, but I guess last year was the first one that the Texas operation really took on. And there was a lot of, really good feedback. We ended up having 211 players last year, which isn't a full boat, but over 200 players anywhere is a nice field to deal with, in my opinion.
Yeah, it looks like you guys have like 165 right now, so you're
Yeah,
with 2 weeks with basically 2 weeks to go. So
right. So talking with two big key players, excuse me, or maybe people, clubs, whatever, however you want to call them. Will Harvey and Paul Owens, both of the Rose City Disc Club out there in Tyler, Texas, which is where the Piney Woods Open is at. We've been working with them for years, ever since we've been doing the Piney Woods Open. Great club, great organization. And I asked that, they really, I felt like they really wanted to, especially Will, really wanted to see, we know we got a 3-course complex. They're great courses. Everyone loves to come and play these every year. What can we do to make to go to the next step? And it was, all right, well, I guess we could look at next step, meaning a better B tier, next step meaning A tier. And obviously to full-time and avid tournament directors, and in most cases, the first thing you think of is, A tier. What's the next biggest tier? If it's an A tier, let's go NT. If it's an NT, let's, see if we can make it bigger and better than that. I brought up the idea of an A tier. So in the last few years, it's been a 2-day format, 3 rounds, with usually a Safari 9 after that for the open players that make the final 9. So it being an A tier, and with my experience, which I don't know if that's good or bad or not at this point, my idea of a tier, taking everything I know from my experience, taking everything I know from working with Dynamic and Jeremy and Doug and everybody up there in Kansas, EMAC. I didn't want it to be another glorified B tier just because we made it an A tier. Because, going back to your reference on, was it a really good tournament? The really good tournaments, you just start to see flow like dominoes falling, really. So I suggested, what if we do a 3-round event, 1 round a day, tee times? The pros really seem to enjoy that. This is an A-tier event. I know that it is a lot harder for people, especially amateurs, to get off that extra Friday, and get some extra time in. But at the same time, we wanted to make this event something special. We knew that we could get the same amount of people that we did last year, but, we wanted to be able to offer more spots. We wanted to offer a larger payout. We wanted to offer a larger player pack. And, the RCDC was totally on board. They've been great thus far. They're the ones who've raised all the sponsorship for this, and they committed to that from day one. So, excuse me, without their help, this wouldn't have been a possibility. Obviously, this is not in my backyard. It's in their backyard. So running a tournament of this caliber, even though some people may say, oh, well, it's only an A tier. You're right. It is only an A tier. And, an A tier isn't, the title A tier really isn't that big of a deal, even in my opinion. But the work that goes into it for it to be not an A tier, but a successful tournament, not just a tournament, but a successful event. There's just a lot of moving parts to it, obviously, and I'm preaching to the choir to just you two. So hopefully there's at least 1 or 2 people listening. But
we got a lot of people listening. And what do you do to make it a successful event? Like, what are do you have any special touches that you put into the event?
Jeremy Rusco on everything I do.
Goal. Good.
Now, again, EMAC and everybody up there has been so influential and such a big part in how we do things. I mean, that's where I was trained. When I was trained in certain aspects, it was, this is the way we do things. You're going to do it. This is the way you're going to learn. You're going to do it this way, and this is the way we know it. If we change something, we'll let you know so that you can evolve with that. And that was really cool, running a pro shop, going on tour, that kind of stuff. Man, it was a shot in the dark. It's like, here you go, open your doors, have fun. It's like, oh, dang, what do I do now? But, man, running tournaments, those guys already had a system down, and every time I have questions like this one right now, I've been going back and forth with Clay Hauser, who's our biggest IT guy. He does all our website work, and when you look at scoring for Worlds and GBO, and how fast it's uploaded and tee times and all that good stuff, Clay's the man. He's the guy that does all that. I'm sure he has help for sure, but he's the main man. So. I copy a lot of that from them, and I really try to make sure that I educate myself on everything before I just dip my toes into something else. Because they, in my opinion, they've perfected tournaments, and as I said earlier, I feel like that has started to shower down us and the Texas crew, because we're literally trying to do the same thing. That's a big part of Dynamic Disc is our tournaments, and just being able to give a quality value, whether it's in an event or whether it's customer service, to everyone who supports us. The first steps, I guess, going back to your question, sorry, I might have gone off on a tangent. How I start planning for this, things like that. RCDC made it so easy because, like I said, they said, all right, we'll take care of all the sponsorship. And that's basically what I asked them to do. I was like, guys, if y'all could take care of sponsorship, I don't live there. It's harder for me to go there and say, hey, I'm a local, or hey, I'm a tournament director, but I don't live here. Can you sponsor this event? So
they have the connections that you probably don't.
Exactly. Made much more sense. Whereas, the RCDC has board members and people that want to play in the event. They want to help out. They want to help prep the courses and be a part of it, but they also want to enjoy the fruits of the labor, and rightfully so. I totally, want everybody to play in this event that can, and that wants to. So for us, there's, I guess the first thing for us, a big part of the tournament that we take very seriously is course prep. OB lines, rule sheets, caddy books with correct layouts, correct rules, and scheduling. How are the tee times going to run? How are the extracurricular activities going to run? Things like that. Just organizing to where it has some sort of a smooth flow, and hopefully the players will be more enticed to. Not just playing the event and, after the rounds are over, go home. They'll come and do the putting competition. They'll go and do the night golf at the Rock Disc Golf course on Friday night. They'll come and do the player party at True Vine Brewing Company on Saturday, which everyone is invited to. But course prep is our main thing. I think what sets our tournaments apart down here in Texas is being very specific on how we set up the courses, how the rules are read, and just being very thorough and trying to communicate the best we can to our players. So that's a big part of it. One of
the things I've heard Emacs say numerous times on their podcast is about the Piney Woods, just how great the course is, how people need to get, if you haven't been down there, it's one of those courses that you should really make it a point to kind of go out of your way and check it out.
Oh, absolutely. So there's 3 courses there, the Cedar course, Hickory course, and Dogwood course. And for those who have done a little bit of research or got on DGCR or something like that to look at the course names, they're also known as blue, gold, and red. The red is the Cedar course, the blue is the Hickory course, and the gold is Dogwood. I'm not a big fan of using colors because when I get started on using colors, there's different courses that have – T-pad names that are like the shorts are gold and the longs are blue. I don't know, it just confuses me. But so kind of the way that Tyler has communicated with us about the difficulty levels of each course, Cedar is usually the consensus is that it is the easier course of the 3. Hickory's the medium, and then Dogwood is just, man, you better bring your A game because it's a tough course. A lot of position shots you need to work with, or placement shots, sorry, and very smart golf. It just really makes you think. Shot selection is a big part of Dogwood. Not a lot of wide open shots. I mean, it's very wooded. There's some long wooded holes as well. There's actually a tombstone. It's not a tombstone. It's a rock, but kind of it looks like kind of a tombstone, but it has like
Everything
this
in
warning
Texas
sign
is a
on
tombstone.
dogwood. This course is super hard, and if you're not a advanced level player or a seasoned disc golfer, we don't recommend you playing this course. And it's, they're right. I mean, it's a beating. It's physically and mentally beating out there. But man, having the 3 courses on that one complex and the convenience of that, and it being almost similar in that aspect at GBO and Worlds this year, man, the players just really seem to like that. It's put again, it's much less mentally exhausting on them when they're trying to find out where they're going and how long it takes, and the drive between locations, stuff like that. So it's a great venue. And yeah, if you're planning on playing the events and you haven't been out there yet, I know that there's only 1 weekend left before the tournament. You have the weekend free and you're only an hour or 2 away from the courses. I definitely suggest going to check them out. And that's kind of what the thought was behind doing the tee times, is hopefully, first of all, the fill rate is the maximum head count we can have is 432 players. We knew that wasn't going to happen this year. That's a big order to fill. And it's not that we don't think we can fill it. It's just a matter of we're trying to keep our expectations, at a manageable level, I guess.
Well, obviously, the more people that are there, the more volunteers you need, the more staff you need, and that increases as your player base increases. So, it's obviously where right now your limitations are, and you hopefully have a game plan to get to that in the future.
Absolutely. This year is going to tell us a lot about whether 3 days was good or if we need to take it back down to 2. If we need to take it back down to 2 for the AM side, I would like to keep it 3 days for the pro side. I think the pros enjoy playing 1 round a day. I think they enjoy playing tee times. The AMs, I know it's a lot harder for them to get off work because they don't do this full time. But hopefully we'll open registration even earlier than we did this year. So hopefully everybody has enough time to take off for it, and they enjoy it enough this year to want to do that. But anyway, it was 300 is our goal this year, and I don't think 89 more people is out of the question. Last year, you mentioned we already had 165 signed up as of right now. Heck, last year I think in the week of the tournament we had 95 players sign up.
And as Terry and I have collaborated with events and stuff, Terry usually running them and me trying to avoid helping. It's a curse and a blessing because you want to know the general amount of people that you're going to have ahead of time to take care of things such as trophies and players pack and scoring. And that last week push, as great as it is to see your event fill and all these people want to come, you're looking at that on Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, and kind of just like that's great, but now that's this much more work I have to do last minute.
Well, and I think it's almost a catch-22 because people see, and when people know there's a large capacity for certain events, and if they don't have this really long-standing track record like the GBO, they see the Piney Woods and they know it's kind of slower. It's end of the season. It's going to be a great event in a great location with great courses and great people running it, but they have room for 432. That thing's not selling out tomorrow. So they continue to put it off, and everyone else puts it off. And then, as Johnny was just alluding to, eventually it's the last week, and everyone's like, oh, yeah, I was going to play in that all along. I just decided to finally sign up. And I think that's probably where you're at.
No, yeah, absolutely. And we knew going into this year it wasn't going to fill, but we did, jumping to the A-tier again, briefly mentioned it before, myself, Bradley, Will and Paul with RCDC, we know that there's room for this event to grow. And, that's kind of why we did such major changes this year, because we want people to know that that's the case. In Texas, man, Texas has it good. Texas has it. These guys and girls are spoiled. I mean, let me tell you, there are multiple tournaments every single weekend of the year. 52 weekends. I can guarantee you there is on 40 of those weekends, at least, there is at least 2 disc golf tournaments.
That's because it takes 6 hours to drive between cities in Texas.
All right, give it a rest.
They have B tiers that are
That is
6 hours
true
apart
all the time.
from one round in the morning to the round in the afternoon. Like, you guys have a lot of disc golf. You have a lot of land to cover, but you have a lot of disc golf options, and you should
Absolutely. Yeah, we're very proud of that. A lot of courses, a lot of options. So, and we've kind of created that. We've spoiled our fan base, and I don't mean by just Dynamic, but other tournament directors who are avid, who run tournaments avidly as well. We've spoiled them because it's not like in Colorado where they're like, oh man, I got to sign up for this tournament and it's going to fill in like 30 minutes if I don't. Mm-hmm. In Texas, it's like, well, let me see what the weather's going to be like. I'll sign up on Friday. Yeah. Well, there's this other tournament. I want to see what the open field's going to be like before I sign up here. So, and I get that. I totally get it. This year, as we have last year we did, maybe the year or two before that, we've competed with an event called Texas Camping Teams, or Texas Camping Championships, maybe is what it's called. Mm-hmm. Great event, awesome event. I say that, and I haven't even been there, but I hear about it all the time, and it's something that I've always wanted to play. And it's taken away a lot of players. I mean, there's a lot of guys and girls that I've reached out to, and they're like, "Man, I do camping teams every year, and it's just something you don't want to miss." And I totally get that. So we did actually get an October date next year for Piney Woods, which is nicer.
There you go.
And I'm looking at the history of Piney Woods, and for a long time it was a December event, and then it seems like. Once Dynamic Disc started presenting it, it became a November event, and now you're saying you're working back to October.
Yeah, the reason why I wanted to do that was, one, avoiding more unpredictable weather. Weather's much more predictable, in October than it is in November. And luckily this year, I think it's going to be perfect weather anyway. I hope I didn't just jinx it, but I don't think it's going to be cold at all. It may be a little bit chilly in the mornings. I really don't think we're going to get much precip, and I think it's going to be a great time. Last year we had great weather as well, so we've really lucked out. And I really kind of wanted to catch it because November is starting to get late in the year, and there's a few people that make a Texas swing with Oklahoma Open and the Veterans Park Open, VPO, in Texas this time of year. But getting further into November, it is harder for those guys and girls to stay on the road as much. So I know that they want to get home for the holidays and Thanksgiving and Christmas and stuff like that. So we felt like putting it in October next year is going to be a good deal. I think it's October 20th through the 22nd next year is when we're doing Piney Woods again. Okay. Yeah, it's frustrating. It's tough to buy all those player packs and trophies and make sure you have the money for it. I tell you what, man, if it puts us out of business, it's okay. I'm just going to call Jeremy Ruska and have him hire me in Kansas. So I got a backup plan ready to go.
That's funny because that's my backup plan too.
Mine too. So, wait, sounds like we're. I think all too many of us are relying on Jeremy Ruska here.
Well,
I don't know if that's good or bad. So Steve, one of the other. I would say certainly the highlights, and I know you gave all the credit to doing the fundraising, the local club doing the fundraising. We're talking about $10,000 added to this purse. I know you said course prep and how it's presented is paramount to you and to what you're doing from that side. But what a huge accomplishment to go out and raise $10,000 and to be presenting that kind of money along with DD, but presenting that kind of money for the payouts right now. Absolutely.
It is huge. And RCDC did a great job. Paul Owen is the biggest, I would say, cash sponsor of this event. He put in a ton of money. As well as Dynamic Disc Carrollton, which is my operation. We're putting in some cash as well, besides all the other stuff that we're doing for the event. Dynamic Discs, up in Dynamic Disc proper, I guess. I don't know what you call them to separate them, so I'm not confusing people. But Jeremy Rusko's Kingdom up there, they are putting in cash for the event. The RCDC Club, they are putting in a ton of money for the event, and then we have a whole lot of other smaller sponsors that are putting in merchandise and cash for the event. So a minimum of $10,000 added for the pro purse right now, which is just awesome because there's like 16 pros signed up. So okay, congratulations, pro field, you're getting paid. But man, and then
disc
there's
golf
like,
rich, as we say here on Smashbox TV.
That's right.
disc golf what?
Disc golf rich here on.
Oh yeah. Yes, exactly. And then there's like, we have over 30,000 added total with merchandise. So that's like 16 or 17 grand. I don't know. It's more than that. Yeah, we got like 18, 19 grand in merchandise that's been
That's not
added
bad.
to the tournament as well. So, I mean, there's like win your card prizes for every round. On the AM side, there's going to be a massive raffle with all the merchandise we have. We're putting a bunch of stuff into the raffle. So the event value for this thing is huge. The players are going to get hooked up. The player packs. They're getting 2 shirts. They're getting 2 discs. They're getting a towel, a metal mini, and a water bottle, I think. And the water bottle may be replaced with something else.
What? A gold bar?
I can't. Shoot, I wish.
It's stamped dynamic disc though.
Oh
so.
yeah. That's what I'd like.
I'm really hoping that
So
a shipment of something new comes in before the event, so maybe we can trade that out. If not,
Cubs
it'll be
World
all right.
Series shirts and hats.
Right?
Right.
The ones they usually send to Ethiopia. when
They're-
Oh my gosh.
I'll get them express shipped to you, bud. Plenty of time.
So you've got a great players pack. You've got extra prizes for all the players. You've got, sounds like a players party. You've got games to do. What are you hoping to achieve next year? Is there anything you're looking at adding next year for this event? Because it sounds like you've got your bases covered so far.
Don't say Hooters girls.
That's a different event. So what are your expectations, hopefully, for next year in October?
More disc golf richness, dang it.
There you go.
No, yeah, it's tough to say at this point because I really want to see what this year provides. I want to see how well we manage ourselves. This, as comfortable as I am doing events, it's literally been nerve-wracking and it's probably because I'm just putting all the pressure on myself and my team. Actually, I can guarantee you that's what it is. But we really want it to be a good show. We want it to be a great event. We want it to be something like the GBO. And I don't mean just like the GBO in every aspect. I mean like the GBO in the sense that, it's a tournament that people are like, man, you don't want to miss it next year because it was a great event. And there was already people talking about that last year and the year before. But we really want them to be able to believe in that when they say it, and we want them to be able to emphasize it to people and not just say it once or twice, but say it, man, I can't wait till that registration opens because I want to make sure I get on that list. And next year, I can probably guarantee next year for registration before this event is even come and gone. We're probably going to do a lot more incentives for people to register early as far as bonus items, free entries into different activities or something that we may do. Just because it is tough running events when you're not sure how many people you're going to get. And you really want to make sure you plan correct because you really want to make sure that everyone has a great time. You don't want anybody to sign in late just because they registered late. They don't get the minimum player pack or minimum experience or anything like that.
And this is one of a good spot for us, as we do on occasion, to tell our users and our listeners, it pays to sign up early. It helps out the TD. It can help you out in the players pack, especially if they maybe are going to think about doing something custom.
It helps out your bank account because rather than you foolishly spending your money on something stupid, you're already guaranteed a spot in the tournament.
Yeah.
Because I know disc golfers, they spend it on stupid stuff. Sometimes other things that they shouldn't. So
probably
give it to Steve-O. That's what I do.
Get nice and early, and then you can spend, on your way there, you can do something stupid.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So you're already in the event.
That's our little PSA.
Yeah. Good job, guys. No, yeah, it definitely helps better with planning. But I mean, and I know players don't get that, and really the people who get this are TDs, and people that I feel like the touring pros get it, and they want to help out as much as they can as well, because they know the faster that the event fills, they know the faster that they sign up, the easier it is on everyone, not just the TDs, not just the staff. It's easier on, like you guys just said, it's easier on the players, whether it's bonus player packs or better player packs or not.
Yeah, nothing's better than watching a tournament fill and then seeing what the probable payout is before the event even starts.
Those are that would be so awesome.
Those are things that when an event fills, those are things that can be done.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Man, I got this or downloaded the PDGA calculator, I guess. And I don't really use it for my events, but
I just kind of wing it. Like, you look like you earned.
We kind of do our little mojo.
19 birdies. Yes, you get an extra $4.
Exactly. I mean, we adjust things a little bit just because we do like to pay those who shoot the best. We use that as a starting.
That's
base.
not a PDGA concept. I think that's a pretty global concept, is to pay the people that shoot the best the most.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But using that calculator, and right now, basically every time the pro field, jumps another 5 or 6 entries, I want to see, okay, so if we have this many pro players, this is the amount that each player gets on added cash. This is the total. What's payout going to look like if we do this?
Mm-hmm.
And right now, I'm not going to sit there and post it every other day when more players sign up, because that's just throwing myself to the wolves.
No, you do it when an event fills up or a division fills up. That's the point. It's an incentive for players. It's an incentive for players. So.
No, yeah, and I mean, it's not always, I know, and maybe $10,000 cash is getting is starting to become old news, because more and more tournaments are being able to achieve that, and they are, and it's not an easy task, but it's definitely not impossible. It's actually far from impossible. I mean, all you have to do is have some dedicated people that like to talk to people and aren't afraid of hearing the answer no. Mm-hmm. Hell, I get told no all the time. In fact, whenever I begged and pleaded with Terry to be on this podcast, he told me no 10 times before I finally had to pay him to let me get on.
Yeah,
you got paid?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but no, that is one thing I love doing as a TD. It's like as soon as the first round starts, I'm like, sweet, I get to play around with payout. Let's see, who gets what. Even not even the pro divisions, but the AM divisions as well, because the guys and girls who shoot the best, seeing the look on their face whenever that payout is posted when they get back from their first round, they're like, no way, dude. I'm totally winning this thing, or or hell, even the last cash people, they're like, dude, all I got to do is get in 25th spot and I'm good to go. So, and that's pretty cool to see, because, man, I was there at one point. Man, I was playing recreational. I was like, man, just let me get like 15th place in recreational. I'll get like $15. I get a disc and I'm totally good.
Then I can finally get that discounted Indians jersey. Yes, I can't wait.
Yeah.
All right, Stephen, I've got to ask before we let you go here. I think we've got all the details and all of the glorious information that's going on for next weekend's event. Do you have a baseball? Do you have a baseball bone in your body? Do you care which way this World Series goes here in the next?
I was actually
26 hours
to it before I got on here. It's funny. I run a mini on Tuesday nights in Louisville, Texas. So I ran that tonight, and we had a pretty small number tonight, so I was able to get out of there. I didn't leave till the course till like 9:10. And it's like 15-minute drive to get home. So I'm sitting there racing home, and I get to the driveway, and I'm listening to it on the radio, and I jump out of the car. And I'm like, shoot, it's 9:25. Race into the bedroom and set up, and literally when I open my computer, you're calling me. So I'm like, heck yeah, perfect timing. So I'm assuming the Cubs. I mean, hell, they put that nasty grand slam on them. This series, I know it's the most watched series in World Series baseball history so far.
Yep.
I have watched, I think, a total of 3 of these games so far. Neither one of them are my teams. I'm totally a diehard home team guy, so you can bet any Texas team that gets anywhere far in any kind of sport, that's who I'm rooting for. this World Series is different because, I mean, both the teams are
Desperate.
God,
Desperate
yes.
for a win.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's just, I mean, no, it's not an insult to either
And
team.
I know the
It's
Rangers haven't been around as long as the Cubs, but damn it, we haven't won a World Series ever. But anyway, I really don't care. I was kind of rooting for the Indians at first because I got really sick of seeing all the bandwagon fans with the Cubs jump on board, and that's all I've seen everywhere.
All those damn 1908ers.
Yes. Yeah. No, the 1908ers I'm good with, man. If you're from 1908 and you're listening to this right now, shoot me an email. I'll send you a bunch of free stuff or something.
Yeah, you should see our demographic from 108 and up.
Yeah, we're killing it actually, and they're all on email, of course. That's right.
But you know what? If either of these teams win, awesome, props to them.
If not, start up next year.
If somehow no one wins, which that is impossible. Well, I guess it's not impossible, but something really bad would have to happen if neither one of them won, which won't happen. But I don't know. Terry, I'm just going to say the Cubs because I know you're rooting for them.
There you go.
No, I wasn't pulling for that. I was just curious if you had any.
Oh, yeah, you were. Let's be honest.
No. J-Ray, good. One of our friendly DD guys.
I'm seeing all over Facebook. Shut up with your Cubs, J-Ray. I hope you're listening.
And I don't know if he is or is not a more Johnny-come-lately fan or not. I don't know.
I don't think he is.
And people could accuse me of just the same because I didn't talk about. But like I said, I didn't have a lot of reason to talk about them for the last 20 or so years. So yeah.
No, last night I was. Wait, what was last night? Yesterday, Monday.
Two nights ago. Okay.
Sunday night, I was watching. I'm a huge Cowboys fan, obviously. I know I'm sure there's plenty of haters online right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're booing me for that. But again, Denton, Texas, born and raised. Sorry, that's not my. I'm no 2%er fan. I was watching the Cowboy game Sunday night, and then I was flipping back and forth to the Indian Cubs, and it was funny. I listened to a radio station called The Ticket down here. On to and from work and whenever else. I just like sports talk radio. But they were saying, we were looking at the ratings and trying to figure out, you got Cowboys, which is America's team. I know we've sucked a lot in the last 20 years, but and then you've got Cubs Indians, which everyone down here in Texas is saying that Yankees are no longer America's team. They're saying that the Cubs are, which from what I can tell doesn't. It makes sense, and it probably isn't too far off base. But they were wondering how the ratings kind of measured out, and thought it was going to be somewhat close. And they're like, no, it wasn't close at all. I mean, that World Series is blowing everything else out of the water. So props to both those teams because that's a really big deal. But my Cowboys won, and that's all I cared about. So
all right, buddy.
Well,
then we're done with you. All right, Steven. On a serious note, we appreciate all the insights. We say it all the time. We appreciate any time we get a chance to work with anyone from DD. Rusco and Bobby Brown were on the show a few weeks ago. We've had Eric Oakley just recently. But all of the DD family, we can tell that you guys are on the same page. You said it very early on, right when we started the podcast, that you feel like you're really in the customer service industry, and the fans see that, the players see that, the sponsored players I know feel like it's family. Us as our even an independent media that consults and works and contracts with you guys, we feel that. So there's a lot of really good stuff going on there, and you're definitely a product of that, and it shows. And it's great to hear more from you, and we wish you the best of luck next weekend. Maybe shortly after the Piney Woods, we'll get some kind of updates, whether it's Bobby Brown or whomever, or somebody that's got some key points and or video that we can reference, and the scores and all that stuff. I'm sure it'll get talked about. It'll probably get picked as our Yuli's picks for next week, and
right.
So another chance for me to dominate those clowns over here on our show. But we appreciate everything that you've given us tonight. We wish you the best of luck. We hope another 150 people sign up in the next day or two.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for the kind words, and right back at you guys. I appreciate everything you guys do. I don't get to watch a whole lot of the podcasts that you guys do, but I definitely love seeing you guys on site whenever our paths do cross the rare times throughout the year. But thanks for everything you guys do. Y'all do great things for the sport, and the dynamic family is huge. I know that we do a lot of things for disc golf, but I tell you what, man, having people like you and Bobby Brown, and of course he works with Dynamic, but you guys, Smashbox, and just a quick shout out to the other guys that do media coverage, West Coast and Jomo's production, everybody who just does this full time, whether it's media, whether it's TDing tournaments, whether it's doing disc golf full time. It's huge, and it helps everyone, regardless if you're competing manufacturers or competing businesses alike. It's a huge deal. So if you're listening, and you're not sure, if what you're doing is the right thing, or if you're going in the right direction, if you're a part of disc golf and you're just trying to grow and be a part of it, and dip your toes in more and more and be a more active and proactive part of the sport, we need that, and it's going to help all of us in the long run. So thank you guys for having me on. Terry, thanks for taking my money. I'll pay you again if I can be on the show. Sometime.
Yes. That's how those wheels are greased. All right, Stephen Storrie, ladies and gentlemen, Piney Woods Open, and so many other things that he's doing for DD down in Texas and beyond. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you a little later, buddy.
Thanks, Terry. Appreciate y'all. Have a good night.
See you guys.
Thanks.
Yep, see ya. All right, and again, Stephen Storrie joining us. It was a little awkward, only from the sense that earlier in the day, him and I had a really brief conversation, and he reiterated what he had said there about, I don't watch a lot of the podcasts, and then he's like, I don't know if I should tell you this, but I don't watch a lot, but when I do, I watch you guys way more than I watch our own stuff at DD. And I was like, I don't think that's awkward. I mean, I don't blame you. But he says, Answer Man and Inside, all that stuff, he's like, yeah, that's great and all. But if I really wanted the inside scoop and I want to know what's going on, he's like, I think it's obvious that I need to come to you guys. And I don't know. We appreciate it, Stephen. So thank you very much.
Are you putting words in his mouth?
No.
Well, I was gonna.
Maybe I'm paraphrasing.
You're probably paraphrasing.
That's all.
One of the things I forgot to ask is if anyone's going to be filming the event. Other than, I'm sure Bobby's going to be down there doing some stuff, but I didn't know if there was going to be any shot-by-shot coverage by a Jomez or a Central Coast.
Yeah, I'm not certain either. I know at one point it was very briefly touched on. They had a conversation with me on our behalf of looking at live, and that's something that they're not going to look into, obviously, for this year. But that's not off the table for future years and so on and so forth. Now, whether or not Bobby or anyone else is going to be down there, I may have a weekend open, even though I don't think I do if I want to go to Phoenix. But I don't know. Anything could happen. What did Paige Pierce say? Anything can happen in 2016.
2016.
And it's still 2016, so anything can happen. But thank you guys. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Bobby. And thank you, all of DD, for all your support. And I think we can bring right on our reigning and now defending champion at the Las Vegas Halloween Classic, Paul Ulibarri. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Not as good as you, champ.
Champ?
Look at that guy.
Does that ever get old?
No.
Okay.
It doesn't happen often enough for it to get old.
Okay. What's it gonna take? It's a little off subject right off the bat. What's it gonna take for you to have a Macbeth 2015 like or a Wysocki 2016 like season? What would it take for Paul Ulibarri for me to be saying, oh yeah, that was the season of Uli? What would that take?
Honestly, I don't think it would take as much as people would think. I think I've been really close for the last probably 10 years to having a good season like that. I mean, I've finished, I feel like, top 4 and player of the year candidates for top 5 to top 10 for like 8 straight years or something. So I'm always there. A stroke here, a stroke there, and you guys know how hard I actually do work, and I work in the off season constantly. So in my mind, it's not a stretch at all to think that I would have a season like that. And I mean, I start every season thinking that I will, obviously. So
I would hope so.
Yeah, but and to further that point, there is an obvious dominance. I feel like that took place in
There's
those two
separation
seasons
between those two and then the rest of the field, and there's no denying it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously,
Yeah,
everybody sees it, but it's like when Macbeth had his season, people thought nobody would come close to him for the longest time, and Ricky did what he did this year, so it's not like it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I just when I think of recent history, those are the two seasons, and not just because we've covered those live more so. I've been around for a long time, and I've seen a lot of champions crowned at a lot of tournaments. But to see the way those two individuals dominated in those respective years,
We haven't seen that since Climo.
yeah, and even I think back to some of my first days. It was right around, I think, 94, 95, 96. I think it might have been 95. Climo won like 20 out of 22 events he entered, or 21 out of 23. It was right in that neighborhood. And that was obviously just pure domination. We can argue about caliber and the events he played in, but winning like 20 out of 22 events you play in, there's something to be said about that. To think of what these guys have done in these last couple of years, it just really cemented their stamp as being the two best, seemingly far and above everyone else. But that keeps people like you driven, and I know you're right there, ready. You're ready to pounce, attack, claw, battle, whatever those things are.
Yeah, exactly.
Get your sword out.
I'm very aware of it, and like you, I've seen. I feel like I'm perceived as a younger person, but I've been playing a very long time now, and I've seen the dominance. Like, I came in right after Kenny won his last world title, and early in my career, it was Avery, and it was Barry, and it was a little bit of Climo, and Feldberg was the clear best player until Macbeth, really, I think.
Yeah.
You had some spurts in there of Shoestrick also.
A Doss.
Big time. And Doss, of course. But yeah, what Ricky and Paul have done, I mean, believe me, I don't want to sell those two short at all, because I'm very aware of what it takes to do what they do, and it's incredible.
Okay. Well, what you did this weekend was you reclaimed, or you defended is the word I was going for. Thanks. You defended your title in Vegas. You switched things up last year when I was out there. We were out at the golf course that was then a temp course that was ultimately just used for that weekend. This year we went to the traditional location back at Sunset Park. You said you were excited to go there. When it was all said and done, I think all three of us picked yourself to win, and then Bobby Music to take second.
Yep.
And that's exactly what happened. Johnny, can you break down all the points for us?
Well, I'll break down the standing or the results real quick first, and then I'll go into our picks. As we all know, Paul joining us here won handily, I would say, by 6 strokes. It didn't really appear like going into that last round there was much. I mean, you had a 5-stroke lead, I believe, going into the last round, and picked up a stroke over Bobby. Tied with Bobby was James Proctor, so they actually tied for second place. Fourth was Cameron Messerschmidt, and then everyone's favorite lefty, Derek Billings, took 5th, followed by Steve Berger taking 6th. Those are the amongst those.
Did you mention Joey Madrid?
Hold on. No offense to Joey. Let me scroll. Oh.
He missed cash by 1.
He missed cash by 1. He was
just outside of 4th place where Paul had him.
he was actually 14th place.
Oh.
So he had a 4 in there.
Yep.
But 14th place. So
in his defense, I think he took like a 13 or something on the last hole or something. So he was a lot closer than that.
And by all means, everyone should know we are not picking on Joey.
We're picking on Paul.
Yeah, his name comes up because Paul picked him to
Pick up
finish
me.
4th. And yeah,
That's right.
exactly. So I just want to make that clear. I know some people get a little misguided as to
And
what our intentions are during this segment.
And I would say after the first round, we were we were all possibly looking a little foolish when Derek Billings came out with the hot round at a 57, and you guys were 4 strokes behind him. So, and then that was a 10:46 rated round. Then he followed it up with a 10:53 and a 9:53 and a 9:71, which obviously knocked him just out of 4th place. So
Cubs up 9-2.
No one cares. Because I'm saying no one cares because they're gonna win.
That's fine.
And we're gonna see them tomorrow.
I'm still gonna tell you it's 9-2.
That's good. All right. So the results of what we picked last week, as Terry said, we both, all 3 of us started out with Paul and then Bobby. So there was going to be no movement there. So we all got for sure 6 points. Uli then went and who was your 3rd place? I'm looking at
Derek, I think.
Yes, you're right. That was Derek Billings for 3rd. And as we mentioned, your 4th place pick ended up taking 14th. So you actually got 6 points for nailing 1st and 2nd. Terry and I both got 7 points. Because we nailed 1st and 2nd, but then we also got Proctor in there as well. So
right.
Terry picked him at taking 3rd. I took him at 3rd. Terry took him at 4th, I believe, is what it was, or vice versa. And unfortunately, fortunately for him, he tied for 2nd, so he didn't actually take 3rd or 4th. So we only get a point for that. So that's how it works.
Right.
I've got to go on record and say, as I was looking at the stats, once they were posted, the final scores, and rarely do I do this because I'm usually like, I put my picks in on Tuesday. I'm like, those are winners, and I move on. But this time,
wow,
I put my picks in, and I was like, wait a minute, did I nail that? Because I knew there was conversation. We all had conversation about Derek, whether or not he should be in the top 4 or not, and where he was going to finish. And then I'm looking and I see Proctor, and then I wasn't thinking about the tie for 2nd, but I see in order what I had picked was Uli, Music, and then Proctor. That's the order I picked, and I thought for sure I had picked Messerschmitt. I thought for certain
we talked about him, but
I had to go back and actually listen to the tape, as they say, and confirm because I thought I had nailed all 4 in order. Going back to the original glory picks, back in January
the
of
very
this
first
year.
ones. But no,
so close.
Yeah, well, I mean, you picked Billings. I ended up leaving Billings out, and I actually picked Steve Berger, who took 6th. So, we barely missed. Uli. So, all right. So this week we are going to be picking.
So running score, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. The running score. So Uli lost.
Amazing how you guys want to forget that week after week.
Terry is at 128. I am 9 strokes still behind him at 117, and Uli is now 3 strokes behind me at 114.
I'm catching you so fast. It's not next week. I'm calling it right now. I am passing or tying you at least next week.
I'm assuming he's talking about me.
Yes, obviously.
So we need to.
How does that make you feel? Okay, you were all about the analogies way back in the day. How does that make you feel? Like right now, if it were bottom of the 9th with bases loaded, and your team is up. That even if you hit the grand slam, it still doesn't tie you or put you ahead of me. Like one swing of the bat next week cannot get you to pass me.
No, ultimately the most he could gain would be 12 points if you picked 4 different players than you picked, which probably isn't going to happen. At most, you're probably going to be picking up about 8.
That's my point. That's got to be very defeating for you, Paul. Like tomorrow morning, you have to wake up and think, I can give this. I maybe just gave it my best possible effort, and I'm still going to come up short. How does that feel?
I mean, it really comes down to me never picking Paul McBeth ever to win. I think is where I ended up losing all of my picks.
Actually, this year, not so bad.
Yeah. If there was a year to do it.
If there was a year to do it, it was this year. The problem was you didn't pick Ricky enough.
No, I don't know what the problem was, but early in the year, Macbeth was winning everything, and I was losing a lot of points.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Okay. Well, anyway, excited. What did we end up picking an event for?
Yes, we're picking the VPO this week.
Oh, so I haven't even looked at that.
I was during our interview, I kind of set up the thing and gave a little peek at some of the things. So, so you know what? I'll go first.
All right, you do that. I'll.
You know what, Johnny?
Yeah?
You should go first.
I'll do that. All right. So, winning this event, hands down, no doubt, lock and loaded.
No.
It is the there's a local radio announcer here. They say, the barking dog. He's gonna lock it in. Eagle McMahon. Count it. He's. I don't think he has to show up. I think they're just gonna give him a victory. Taking second place. I'm gonna go with Nolan Grider. Nolan is, he's a Texas boy. I know he doesn't get out and about a lot as much as he'd probably like, but he's still a very, very solid player. Third place, I'm going with Miles Seaborn, Dynamic Discs, Texas Pro down there. And I'm going to go on a slight limb for my fourth place pick, and I'm going to go with Eric Oakley, just because he's out on the road right now. He's playing a lot of golf. He's doing a lot of clinics. I think Eric's going to be able to squeak into that fourth place position.
You think there's a Smashbox bump there because he was on the show a couple weeks ago? That's what you're reaching out to give him.
I'm not saying that it's not going to happen, that there's not a Smashbox bump. I'm saying he's going to take fourth.
Okay. Now, Yuli, there's clearly some strategy to you either selecting before or after me here. My picks are written on a screen and aren't changing. Do you wish to go before or after me?
I'll go. I don't mind giving you my results.
Well, again, mine aren't changing. Johnny was mid-word through his first pick, and mine were locked in, so to speak. So mine don't have any influence either. Let's hear what you got.
Yeah, I'm going with it was a toss-up between Eagle and Miles. I think they're the clear favorites.
Miles is hard to beat down there. I think we all know
Miles
that.
is very hard to beat.
He is.
I agree.
It seems like whenever there's a big tournament down there, no matter who's there, he's like always in the top 5.
It's usually him or Bradley are two guys that I would normally pick.
Nope.
Right, and so Eagle's playing really well, but that course, it doesn't care how good you're playing.
Okay.
I've played there. It is a fluky place to where you could be playing the best golf of your life and you'll have no putt on any green and you didn't throw it outside 15 feet.
Okay.
Like, it's that kind of place where you'll just be behind a big giant cactus and you'll have nothing. And it gets windy and you get spit out on those whatever terrible baskets they have. No offense to Veterans Park, but it's that kind of place. It's very mentally challenging.
It's an older. Is that the VPO that? Is it the same place it's always been for years and years? I know Barry used to talk about going down there.
I don't put my word on that, but that's where I've always played it. I've played it 3 or 4 times. But I'm gonna pick Miles. I'm gonna pick Miles for first because he's gotten runner up there a few times, and I think he's just gonna pull this one out. I'm gonna pick Miles to win. And I'm gonna pick Eagle to take second.
Okay.
Third place, I am picking Nolan Grider, who is a past champion there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then fourth was a toss-up. I wanted to pick Eric Oakley, but because of how fluky the place is and how horrible the baskets are, I had to pick Chris Pepperling.
Okay.
It seems like he always plays well there. He's always getting like top 10, it seems like, every year. So I'm going with Chris Pepperling. Sorry, Eric.
It's all right. Yuli, can you do me a favor and restart your video? Turn it off and turn it back on. Your video is kind of
just the video button.
Yep, the video is locked up, so I don't know if it matters or not, but
everybody wants to see it.
Everyone wants to see what you're. It's just a video. It's just a picture of you.
Hi. Good.
Not so much.
No, that's okay though. We can hear you, and there's a picture of you, so we're fine. All right, Terry, why don't you talk about your picks then?
Yeah,
you said you had them written down. You think you're gonna.
Well, I want to be clear though that I wasn't. They weren't influenced by what either of you were doing. Hence, I haven't touched my keyboard since you were mid McMahon, is what it was.
No one believes you.
Check the tapes. Mine. I gotta say they very similarly echo Johnny's.
Oh, cheater.
So I just like you said, I went back and forth about Miles. I know Miles is so good down there. We see similar people, but I went with a little upset. I do have Eagle winning it, so we'll go there. Eagle wins. In second, I went with my boy Nolan Grider. Nolan has a child who shares a birthday with my child, and then his other child shares that birthday with my other child.
Creepy.
Kind of crazy.
I wouldn't have said that.
Yeah. Is that not crazy? Just saying. So Nolan, I remember Nolan up in Northwoods of Wisconsin throwing his arrows when he was back on tour. All around great guy. And he's got the hometown or the home state screaming for him more than most other home crowds I've ever heard at events in Texas. So Nolan I've got in second place. I did put Miles in third place, Miles Seaborn. I know he's incredibly talented and tough to beat down there. But I just went with a little outside the norm here, and I put him in third. And then to give a little Heiserbaum love out there, I'm going Landon Knight for that fourth place.
Wow.
We all know that fourth place spot is kind of open. Obviously, as you said, Chris is a great pick. There's a lot of great picks. Eric Oakley could be a great pick there. I've met and worked with Landon a little bit down there. We'll see if there's a little Heiserbaum, Matt Seary love to carry over, and hence I'm going to go with Landon Knight in that fourth place spot. And we all know it's wide open, so we'll see. That may be the dagger that ends your whole year when Landon and I pick 4 for 4, take home that 12-pointer.
There hasn't been a 12-pointer since the first week, right?
Since the only.
Correct. The only.
So. Wow. But yeah. And I guess we got a little room for shakeup. Johnny and I are kind of similar. And if anything, there could be some really good bad or good shakeup for.
Seems like I'm going to be the one making a big move.
Yeah.
Down.
Yes. You're either going to move up or you're going to be out of it. So
I'm very happy with my picks. I'm feeling very
that's good. Swing for the
picks.
fences.
Yeah, sure.
Keep reaching for the stars.
Yeah, what does Eagle say? Keep on dreaming as he's taking that first place trophy this weekend. Keep on dreaming.
Keep on dreaming.
I think that's
maybe I'll just head down there and give everybody an upset.
Ah.
Oh yeah.
I don't think that helps you though. I mean, personally, it might.
Yeah.
So you're back in Arizona. You're in Sholo, I assume by now.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so
family just had a nice family dinner. Was watching the World Series. Back in Arizona for the first time since March. So
crazy.
Feels great.
Is it crazy that the tour doesn't bring you back to Arizona at any point? Or is that no big deal? Do you wish it did?
With all the new tours and stuff, I usually make it back for a few tournaments. Like there's a few good tournaments that they run here where it's easy for me to make that decision to come back home. But this year with all the other tours, I was so busy and it just never fit into the schedule for me to come back home. So it is weird. I think that there's a lot of potential in Arizona for some really big tournaments, but I don't know. It's just like it's the Memorial, and then that's about it.
Yeah, and at best, you personally, we see you sometimes, are then back for sometimes the Shelley Sharp Memorial or what is it, the Fountain Hills Classic, or is there an ending one at Fountain Hills usually near the end of the year or no?
Yeah, I mean, I always play like the city championships and stuff because I'm home.
Okay.
But during the touring seasons, I would come back for the Shelley, but now the Disc Dash for Cash the last 3 years has been the same weekend, so I haven't made it to that one.
Okay.
But that was the other one that I would always come back home for, and in previous years I've come back for like the Tree Bash and a few other tournaments and stuff. Yeah,
exactly. And I know your brother, obviously very active, running tournaments, playing in tournaments, so on and so forth. I know we've seen some of that. Can you give us a real quick recap of your Vegas experience this last weekend?
Yeah, it was good. I stayed actually away from the Strip this time.
Uh-huh.
and stayed a little closer to the park, and it was back at sunset, like you guys said, which is awesome. I was very excited about that. Some of my best rounds have come in that park in general in my career, so I feel very comfortable about that place. And yeah, I mean, it was I don't want to say it was like a walk through win, but it felt pretty easy, and I did play pretty good the second round, very smooth, and it was kind of like it was so windy the last round that it was a pretty smooth coast to the win, really.
So that's kind of nice in that case. Nothing crazy is probably going to happen as long as you play mildly smart and conservative.
Right.
That allowed you. So that almost played to your advantage.
Absolutely.
Assuming you didn't do anything incredibly stupid or
any
too
unfortunate
aggressive.
luck or anything. So
Yeah, exactly. And then we saw Katrina playing in the open division and finishing just a couple spots outside of the cash. Is that a ego decision, or is that a financial decision on her part? And I don't mean in any way negatively regarding ego, but just in general, is that like, hey, I want to go compete against the men where there's actual competition versus a uncontested win? Do you think that drives her more, or the fact that there's a chance to win even more money if she does well in open versus just getting her money back and then some in FPO?
Sure. No, I think that you guys have met her, and she's a very competitive person. And so I think that she gets way more joy out of, playing in an actual division and playing against the men. And she truly believes that she can go out there and compete with us. So I think it's an easy decision on her part.
Okay.
She would rather take the opportunity and try to be better,
Yeah, and we've seen it, obviously, not just even the World Tour events, but in general, when there's not a division for her to, a female division for her to, and have other competitors, she has, man, I wonder how many times that's been. I'm not going to go do all of the research, but would you say that she's got to be pushing at least 10 or maybe a dozen times where she's opted to do that? Has it been that many?
Yeah. I mean, it speaks volumes for her character, and that she, like you said, instead of taking the easy extra $100 or $150, whatever it is, she would rather, compete with the boys and prove herself and take the opportunity to get better. And that's why she's as good as she is because she's willing to take that extra step,
Yeah, well, certainly. It's awesome to see. I've always questioned, and I've been in the position as a TD. It's always tough because it's not the TD's fault there's not more competitors for a single woman to play in. It's certainly not their fault. You can't really say it's the competitor, Katrina's fault that there's not somebody to come challenge her. It's not really anyone's fault. But it's a tough position to be in as a TD because I feel like if you gave me, I'll just make up a number, $100 to play, it's hard to pay you extra than the 100 because you didn't beat anyone. You didn't,
Right.
As long as you didn't, go to the hospital. Well, you could have still went to the hospital and won, but as long as you lived through that weekend, you should at least get your $100 back. But I've also seen times where I feel like they've gone above and beyond and given them extra, and it's like, well, I don't really understand the logic to that because clearly throwing more money at the division isn't bringing more women either. There's something else that needs to be cultivated in order for that incentive and for that desire for more women to come out and play in the division. And on the flip side of that, it's got to be tough because some people that might be thinking about, well, I'm right on that border of playing advanced women or pro women or whatever, and then you look and it's like, it's Katrina, and some would think, well, I can't beat her. And I know everyone's got their own attitudes, and some would say, well, oh my gosh, I'd gladly pay that money. It would be like this amazing weekend to just go and watch and learn and play with one of the, the best woman in the world. Some would take it that way, but I think a lot look at it like, oh man, she's going to stomp me by like 60 strokes. That doesn't sound like fun. And then they just don't bother playing. So it's a tough position. And unfortunately, it's been 20 years and we haven't solved the problem.
Right. And to go back what you said with like, if just Katrina would play by herself, how do you throw extra money in her direction? I think if there's other tournament directors listening, I think there's something to be said about that because, and this isn't to knock any of the lower women player in the world, but if you have a Katrina or a Holcomb, Paige Pierce, Des Redding, somewhere, Valerie Jenkins, somebody of that caliber, and that's the only person at your tournament, sure, that's the only woman playing, but in my view of that, I think you do throw the extra money in their direction because they are bringing more attention to your tournament.
Okay.
Right? Because we're talking about.
Are you saying
right
if they're the only competitor, or are you saying in general?
Yes, if they're the only competitor.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
And even if there's 2, 3, I still think that you put some extra money in that direction because in the future, and this could be obviously this is a long ways away, but that will be a thing. I mean, we're talking about it right now because she played in the Open. I mean, she brings that to the tournament, period. If it was one division and she was there, people would be like, oh, Katrina played. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So yeah, that would be that's my point.
Okay. No,
All right,
I understand.
Yeah, totally legit.
What's next for you? I mean, we talked about, like we said, some of our recent guests have talked about this Texas swing and everything that's going on in Piney Woods and all that stuff. But how did the next week or two shake out for you? What are you doing this weekend?
This weekend I have a small one-day tournament here in Arizona that I'll be playing. Non-sanctioned event, fun event. My brother's playing, and a bunch of my friends. This week I'm moving into my new spot, so I'm kind of busy in that regard. But once I settle in, no, I'm staying put in Arizona.
Okay.
For what I believe will be till Australia, and you never know with me. Sometimes I just get a wild hair.
Sure.
Just drive over
Maybe
to
you'll see
Cali.
me in like Canada or something. I don't know. But right now the plan is to stay here, train, and get ready for next year for sure.
Okay.
I'm excited to be home.
I understandably so. Now, there was a brief conversation about the idea of you trying to find or heading over to Shark Tooth this weekend. Obviously, by what you just said, that's no longer on the agenda. Is there anything that we're going to see the following weekend? Is the Phoenix Ladies Open? Are you going to be taking part in that in any way in terms of helping out with the event, or is there going to be another event elsewhere?
Absolutely, I'll be there doing whatever extra needs to be done. I haven't been to that tournament in a few years, but I mean they do such a good job at that tournament. So many volunteers, and they run a great event. So I'll definitely be supporting the women out there. And then. Yeah, just local stuff. The weekend after that, there's like the Cactus Championships and then the state championships a few weeks after that. So I'll still be busy with a couple local tournaments and stuff, but I'll be focusing on getting ready for next year already. Anything
in particular? Curious girl, so curiously asked, what are your off-season plans in terms of prepping? Like, you mentioned training. What are some of the things that you'll find yourself doing that maybe you're not doing during the year?
2 new putts, maybe?
A week?
No, I'll be sticking with the same putt.
Okay.
That doesn't help. That doesn't help because we don't know which one you're referencing.
Oh, I've stuck with the same putt for a few years now.
Okay, go on.
Right?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, the Annie step putt. We understand.
Okay. So no, my off-season training is pretty simple. I mean, through the entire year, it's tough to stick with like cardio workouts and stuff, and so I've put on a few extra pounds that don't need to be there.
I hear you,
brother. So
I'll
be doing some cardio. Mostly, I always train mostly cardio and body weights and stuff. I like to stay smaller. I don't want to get bigger. I think I'm I usually play my best at about 160 or so, and that's when I feel my best. So get down to about 160 pounds. Right now I'm about 169, 170, 172, something like that. So.
All right. Terry's just he's wait. The jokes are running through his head, and
I was gonna say really rough to be sporting those extra 9 pounds. Get back down to 160.
I was gonna make a joke that says Terry plays best at 165, and then he puts his other foot. Then he puts his other foot on the tee pad.
It's actually crazy how much it affects your game. It really is, because when I'm where I need to be, it's easier on my knees. It's easier on everything. Like, I don't get as tired. It's a real big difference, and you never know when that's going to be the difference at the end of the tournament.
For sure. I mean, and I don't think there's any secret that as we're watching our champions, there's not a lot of super out of shape champions running around these days. No. You look at your Wysockis and your Macbeths and your Nikos and yourself and so on and so forth. We're clearly gearing much more towards our most professional athletes, or our the ones that are finishing the best, are generally in shape. They've got the stamina, and they've got all those other things going for them, and are very athletic in a number of ways. So there's no doubt about that. I think I was at like J.C. Penney getting tried on for like a little sport coat. I was deemed the term husky.
A little sport coat?
Okay. So a sport coat, and the term husky was thrown around. I'm like, I quit. I can no longer be world champ. I was called husky, and that's the end of that.
How old were you?
12. So that's it. I was like, all right.
That's where it went down.
From all there, it went downhill.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I remember when I was 165.
Yeah, when was that for you, Johnny?
High school. Probably I'm fairly certain my junior year. I was 6'6", 165 pounds. I was like eagle.
Just raw muscle.
It was
just straight ripped.
It was I was on the swim team, and I was in good shape. I was never a good basketball player ever in my life, but I could easily, dunk a small ball, and I was.
How tall are you?
I'm 6'6".
And you could dunk a small ball.
Yeah.
If I was 6'6", I'd be jumping over the backboard.
You'd be jumping over you.
You say
to
that.
Dunk.
Yeah, but when
I
I
say that,
because you would be.
Yeah, I can still get the rim. I'm 6'6". That's easy for me. I'll probably until
you can touch it.
You're not doing yourself any favors.
I know. Well,
congratulations.
I know it's
it's a real.
Can germ?
You're flexible.
You would know. Can germ dunk?
Yes.
Can he? Okay. I always had a problem with the big orange ball. I was never good at palming the ball, so the smaller one was always really easy to palm. I think I probably could have dunked in high school a regular basketball. I grew up on a gravel driveway because we were kind of out in the country.
You need to stop talking. Like you.
That's fine. Basketball is not my sport. Basketball was never my sport. Like I said, I grew up with a gravel driveway. Never played. I was the guy who stood under the basket and cherry picked, or just stood and blocked. I was always a defensive player if I ever played. It was just.
You know what, Johnny?
Swimmer, runner.
Kid, I
that was
lived
my thing.
on a gravel driveway. I didn't have a basketball hoop. You know what I did? This is a true story. I went to the neighbors and I cut down a horse feeder, and then I nailed that to the back of a piece of wood, and then I got 2 2x4s and nailed that to another piece of wood, put a tire at the bottom, and I had a basketball hoop.
No, look at you.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you tell me I grew up on a gravel driveway,
we did. Well,
that's the worst excuse I've ever heard.
The funny part is,
I grew up on a
I
gravel
never
driveway
liked
with no
basketball. I never, but see, and that's just it. I never really liked basketball. It was never my thing. Like I said, I was.
That's a better. See, that's.
You should have led with that.
Well, I played.
I've
played
never
with.
been really a basketball player.
I wasn't. I played with my friends and things, so I didn't mind when we'd all get together and play. But it was never my sport. You know, I was always a bigger fan of baseball, and then when I got into high school,
Pokemon or something.
no, they didn't have that when I was a kid. It's only 20 years
You
old.
would have
Remember,
killed it. You would have killed it.
remember,
would've
I
been so
graduated
good.
high school 20 years ago. Unlike you, you were a baby. You were a baby 20 years ago. So, nope.
Sorry, I'm laughing. I'm also communicating. We're going to have a special guest tonight besides Stephen Storrie and Paul Ulibarri. Cleveland's very own, or Ohio's very own, maybe, Ricky Wysocki has confirmed. And more so than even the sports talk of his Indians getting beat again. It's I would like to talk about the sponsorship opportunity that Ricky had put out a week and a half ago or so, and that's something that we're going to be able to elaborate on. So shortly after we wrap up with Yuli, we'll be able to get some insight on Wysocki. Wysocki, how much of a baller is he? Well, let's get your opinion on that, though, before we let you go there, Yuli.
He's a key player. I mean, if you have him on your team, he has height, he's quick, understands the game, he's a great outside shot. Ankles are a little week.
So we've saw at Worlds or heard.
That might be my fault.
Okay.
Those are weaker these days. But no, he's a good player. He's a good shooter. Ricky's a really good athlete. I think if a lot of people haven't hung out with him or anything, I think the kid's good at everything that he does.
Well, I liken him to you in that he's also incredibly competitive, and he wants to win at everything he picks up or everything he touches,
right.
and that's that goes as far as playing cards. We saw him, the last few years, especially this year, namely at the Vibram Open, and he competes at everything that he touches and picks up. So
yes,
maybe the Indians could pick him up for tomorrow night. I don't know. They could use the help.
I don't think they're gonna need it.
We'll see about that. Yuli, got anything else that you want to add for us? Oh, have we? Yeah, is there anything else you need to add for us here tonight?
No. I think I just got kicked out of the computer room by my mom.
Well, we can't see anything anyway. Since but hello to your mom, as we say time in and time out. One of our favorite Smashies and biggest supporters, and we love seeing the support that you get, and then that we get from all of our Smashies and our parents and our players' parents and everything else. So hello. Even
absolutely. No, thanks to everybody who tuned in to listen to our picks, and I'm looking forward to next week and finding out that I got the perfect score. But other than that,
sure.
I'm gonna get off here and go relax for the first time this year.
Okay, last phrase of the night, last statement. Tomorrow night's Game 7, Indians or Cubs?
Oh wow, It's a toss-up. I think watching tonight, I think the Cubs are going to be tired.
From scoring too many
so
runs.
Tired of him running around the bases too many times.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, seriously. I think that it's going to be a low-scoring game.
Okay.
I'm gonna say overtime. Overtime.
Like fifth quarter overtime?
In baseball, those are called extra innings.
Okay. You think it's going to extra innings?
And I think that...
Wow, for the win of the World Series. Yeah.
Where is it going to be?
It's in Cleveland.
It's in Cleveland.
That shaped the World Series.
Oh.
Well, you gotta talk about
I'm going to say overtime Cleveland wins.
Okay. Like 2-1?
3-1.
3-1.
Okay. I know. Well, we'll talk more with Ricky maybe.
Funny, Schwebby just chimed in Cubs 3-1. So, all right, Yuli. Well, we appreciate all of your wrong picks, including the World Series.
I want the Cubs to win. I do, but I saw them. They looked scared tonight. They were bringing in their closer early. Like they had a five-run lead. They need to rest him for tomorrow, and so I don't know. They just looked a little out of sorts.
Okay, as they're okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. Fair enough. We appreciate your insight. All right, buddy. Well, thank you, and maybe I'll see you sooner than later if we can work out this Phoenix Ladies Open event next weekend. If I can come into town, maybe somebody will pick me up from the airport named Yuli. maybe.
You got it, man.
All right. Have a good night, and we'll catch up with you next Tuesday night, buddy.
See you guys.
All right, see ya. And there you have it, our regular segment with Paul Ulibarri for Yuli's Picks. Here we are in November 1st, and I know I continually joke about how many more, picks we're going to have in this season. We're literally running out of
Weekends, yeah.
weekends here pretty soon.
In theory,
He's like, no, but I'm hosting a Christmas tournament on Christmas Day. I've got picks for it because he's going to need
in theory,
them.
we really only have 6 weeks left, probably, because you're not going to probably do one on Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Yeah, so
it's we're getting there. I am following up with what Yuli said. First of all, 2 things for Yuli. Overtime?
I mean,
No.
guess generically using the term I'm okay with. I know he's smart enough to know
he is.
there are extra innings, but generically using the term overtime,
See,
if he meant it in a generic sense,
I understand, and
I'm okay with that.
It's passable,
Yeah,
but like that's about it. Passable,
sure. For a sports fanatic who was
Correct.
just making fun of your 6'6" non-dunking skills.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
That I understand.
Extra innings. It's that grind, and I only say this because quite literally, the last game was 2 days ago. I was talking to my son about baseball, and he does baseball in the spring, and he had called it overtime, and I was like, no, I was like, in baseball it's extra innings. They don't go into overtime, they go into extra innings. You never. Or I'm not going to say never. You rarely hear an announcer or someone call it overtime. So not saying never, but you very rarely.
No, and I could see that's something that
And it's
I could see myself saying on the disc golf course, in the excitement or in the heat of the moment. Somebody hits a huge putt on hole 18. I could see myself yelling out, and I feel like I've done this. Maybe that's why I'm saying it. We're going to overtime. Like
it's a generic. That's like
exactly.
that would be again. It's acceptable. It's passable. It's passable. But again, you would never be like, oh, we're here on hole 1 in overtime.
Like Maple Hill, hole number 1 overtime.
Like that makes no sense. That's why it's one of those things that kind of grates on me a little bit. And the other thing, I will agree with him. It is kind of weird that with a 5-run lead, they do bring in Chapman, but I don't know if that's just to keep him consistent, keep him loose for tomorrow night. So I'm not gonna second guess Madden's pitching managerial skills. So let's close this out. We'll go into overtime.
That's what we'll call it from here on out.
We'll go into overtime, and we'll bring in the world champ.
Oh, we'll do that for a little bit. All right. Well, it has been a great night. As we've gone about 2 hours here. Again, if you hate baseball, sorry. This there's so few times it gets infused.
That's all right. Next week
there'll be world champs, and we'll.
No, I was gonna say next week you've got election talk.
Yeah, that's exactly where we'll be headed. So make sure you tune in for that. That should be a good one. So it has been a good week. I don't talk to my dad that often, but I called him tonight and said, "Dad, tonight's the last night." No, he's a big Brewers guy. He always has been,
what I thought.
and always picked on me all my years growing up. Even though he was my baseball coach, he always picked on me for being a Cubs fan. And I said, tonight will be your last night that you can go to bed, and they're not world champions. So you better enjoy it, pal. Because he probably didn't think it was going to happen in his lifetime either.
I didn't think it happened in mine.
So anyways.
Well, let's just say tomorrow, I hope he calls you and just says, Chris, your Christmas is off.
Well, it doesn't matter. So for Johnny V and myself, for Paul Ulibarri, as well as the Piney Woods Open Tournament Director, Dynamic Disc's very own Stephen Storrie, we appreciate you guys for tuning in tonight. Stick around. We're going to have Ricky Wysocki in the after show, and we'll catch up with him and see what's going on from Ohio. So have a great night, and we'll see you next time when you step inside the Smash Box. And joining us here in the Smashbox TV Overtime Podcast Edition is none other than our current world champion, not of baseball, but of disc golf, Ricky Wysocki. What up, Rick?
Oh, what up?
How you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing okay.
So do you see all those, like, I've seen it I think on every sports channel, them going through all the Cleveland champions recently, and do you sit there and be like, me too?
Right.
And Val, I don't want to leave Val out.
Actually, the first time I saw it, they said, "And the fastest growing sport in the world," and I literally thought they're gonna say, I was like, "Wow."
Yeah.
And then I said UFC. I was like, "No."
Those wimps over there. No, you're exactly right. I think it was the link on your very wall. I did click on that. I know exactly what you're talking about. And when they announced it, I was like, no, they wouldn't. Really? Because everybody kind of stakes claim to that. I know lacrosse for many years. I was talking to somebody at a park and rec show, and someone's like, lacrosse is the fastest growing sport in the country. Yeah. And there's a lot of different sports that I think claim that phrasing, and UC might be the only one that's not fabricating it when he's talking about Finland, how disc golf is over there, but everywhere else, a lot of people, what's that new game it starts with a K, and it kind of looks like a labyrinth
board game.
Yeah, it's a board game.
Yeah. It's like magnets and stuff.
Yeah, or something. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And you're trying to get it like what looks like a marble in a hole. Is that kind of what it is?
They have a pong friggin' type looking thing.
Yeah, exactly. Classic or Clask or something.
I think.
Klask, Clask game.
Yeah.
And I saw somebody. There was some. Was it overtime? No, there was some Buffalo Games Clask board game. Retails for about $45, and So you saw the same thing I saw the other day, probably. Yep. Mm-hmm. Somebody playing it.
Okay.
And,
it looks kind of. It looks like the old Labyrinth game that used to play with the. But
yeah.
All right.
Anyways, that's the fastest growing sport in America probably right now. Is Clask.
Are you being serious?
No, no, but I'm sure they'll tell everybody it is.
Research, and I was like, what?
No, I saw it online. So. Initially, I was going to give you a hard time, and I have to do that. Obviously, you're.
Let it settle in just a little longer.
Okay, we'll come back to it. I will badger you more. We'll come back to it. Let's lead off with something you announced, and I think it was the World Series was taking place obviously last Tuesday, so we didn't get to it then. But in the last 7 to 10 days, you announced a sponsorship opportunity. So we're here giving you a platform, and we want to know exactly what that means for people that haven't seen or read it or heard about it. What's going on?
Yeah, well, basically, I just it seemed like a good idea, and I just really wanted to see how it went. I know it's something I've never really done before, but I feel like I want to kind of return the favor of sponsorship. I know me growing up as a player, that was always a goal of mine, and it definitely smaller sponsors definitely helped me work my way up the ladder. So I want to return the favor and try and get someone else to be in my shoes one day. So that was really the main goal, and I'm just looking. It's really cool to see all the people sending in videos and really seeing the progress that we're having with this concept. So
okay.
Yeah, it's really
so
cool.
break it down. Break it down. Like, what does it take? First of all, let's just start with how does someone apply for it? What do they need to do? And then we'll talk about what they'll get.
Yeah, well, basically, it's just there's not really. I didn't make too many rules. I left it pretty open.
Okay.
But it's basically just them talking about themselves for a little bit, and then having some throws in there. That's what people have been doing. Some sidearms, backhands, putting, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then just telling them what kind of what they do in the community. A lot of people are some people are involved with college clubs. Some people are high school clubs. So it's really cool to see what kind of pull they have in their community. So it's kind of a little bit of both,
okay.
When they're growing their sport in the community, and obviously they a player with potential and skill, but also a player that also is involved with the community and really helping others and growing the sport, which is all of our main goal. So I want to be able to support people that support the sport that we all love.
So someone is essentially it would be easiest, I assume, if they created a video, maybe showed some of them throwing some shots, drives, putts, whatever it might be, but then also maybe introducing themselves, letting you know, or the panel of judges that you have, but letting you know how they're involved and the types of things that they're doing. Is that what you're looking for?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And now
I didn't really know. I didn't have any requirements or what to put in the video, but that's what people started doing, and I really like that.
Okay. Well, and it makes sense. Obviously, we're a visual sport. It's so much easier for someone rather than, getting in front of a camera and, say, reading you some of their statistics,
Yeah.
showing their form or their throw or some trick shot or miraculous shot.
Yeah.
Now, I've got to ask, have you seen I have so many questions. Let's start with how many submissions have you seen so far?
A lot. Let's see. I've heard from the peanut gallery.
I was going to say the statistician in the back, 150.
Yeah.
Is that what I heard?
We've had about 80 guys.
About 80 guys
About 20 girls.
and 20 girls.
Awesome.
That's
okay.
great.
So tons of submissions.
Yep.
And they've ranged probably from what, 1 minute to 30 minutes or what?
Yeah, exactly. Not 30 minutes. Maybe like 10 minutes is the longest one. Some people send in, 2 or 3 videos.
Okay.
And a few minutes apiece. And we've seen ages from like, I think 5 or 6 all the way up to, I think 40 something.
Okay.
40, so a little bit of a lot of different age demographics. Also.
And now you're looking at potentially. I saw the call out. You especially want more women too because you had been deficient on getting women's submissions, but.
This disc golf community.
So now it's the numbers. Now you're ultimately rewarding how many and what are they getting?
So basically, I'm rewarding one male, one female for right now, and then I'm just gonna basically see how that goes, and maybe it might be more. I'm kind of thinking about that because there's so many good candidates. It's tough to pick, but I'm thinking about adding an international because I've had almost a dozen or so international submissions. So
awesome.
I'm thinking about doing one of maybe possibly incorporating an international player. But so yeah, basically what it entails is just helping out, seeing potential in a player and like I said earlier, seeing all the potential and all the stuff they offer not only to my brand but also to the sport. And so it's kind of like a package deal.
Okay.
They're growing the sport. I want to help them grow the sport. Also, see what they can do in promoting my brand as well. So it's a combination. It's not just one or the other. It's a little bit of both.
No, it's a mutual situation for the both of you. You both have something to gain and to grow from.
Exactly.
Now they'll be given, and I'll be the first to admit I didn't research all the details. It was easier just to have you. They're gonna get 300 shirts or 400 discs or no? What is exactly is it that they're gonna win and how is the collaboration gonna work in that sense?
We're still talking about it, but we have a few things set in stone, and we're definitely gonna obviously make them some jerseys. We're gonna make some jerseys, some pullovers, some hats, all that good stuff with Wysocki Bomb on it, and if they have any other sponsors, but so definitely do that. We're going to do some tournament entry fees. I'm not sure how many, maybe a handful or so tournament entry fees paid for. So just so they can, if they're a newer player, like as most of them are, they want to try and get out there. And so, I don't mind, fronting some entry fees for players that really have potential to show their skills off and possibly, make a name for themselves. So I'm going to a handful of entry fees, some shirts, all that good stuff. Obviously, if it depends on the players, but if they're latitude throwers, I can also get some Wysocki Bomb discs and that kind of good stuff. But also, I'm not sure about how many. I don't know how many it's going to be exactly right now, but maybe in 20 or 30 or something. But also to work with them one-on-one is going to be a big deal. Just kind of helping them out and really, if they're newer, really helping them out, showing them the ropes, and just kind of doing some one-on-one sessions with a lot of the players in order to really bring out their potential in tournaments that they're willing to play. If they need any advice, I'm there to help them. So it's a mentorship I'm also offering.
Awesome.
And obviously I help a lot of people that I know and I like, but it's going to be more so with these the players that are part of my team is obviously going to be right up there on the priority list. So which is cool for not only me but also for the players, because I can it's cool for me to put myself in their shoes when I was in their situation. So it's like I said, it's a win-win for me and them. They get to learn something and I get to share my experiences and the fact that I was in their position before.
No, and obviously we've seen so many great things from our pros. Yourself included. This has very, in some ways, reminiscent of what Nate Doss had done, a few months ago in working with a junior grant program and ultimately helping one specific person get to Am Worlds and some of the things that he had done. And Nate, I'm guessing just like yourself, it's not about what you currently throw or what brands that
Yeah.
you're, you're specific to. You very easily could select someone that happens to throw, a mixed bag or all Prodigy or all Innova or whatever, that you're looking for the potential and you're looking for the individual, not so much, what brand is in their bag currently. Okay.
For sure, yeah, and I think it's gonna be, it's so far it's definitely a success, and it's just I feel like it's kind of almost like also like a, and obviously I'm gonna be giving stuff outside of the outside of the contract or whatever agreement that we come up with. If they need something or want something to, I'm gonna be there to help them. So it's kind of like almost like a manager. I'm gonna be their kind of manager type, to where if they want something or they want to do something and they feel restricted, I'm there to help them out to be able to do something they might not have been able to do without being on part of Team Saki Bomb.
Well, you just be very careful, because what I think the next call is going to be is, Ricky, world champion, sir. Yeah, I'm like 74th on the wait list at GBO. Can you get me in? I know you know those guys. Can you bump me up on that wait list?
Yeah.
So
bump me up about 50, 60 spots. That's funny.
So you never know.
Be
careful how much you extend yourself there, because I don't know what kind of favors are going to try and get called in. A few weeks ago, right when it was announced, I know Dana talked about submitting something. I know Yuli's on the board saying he did. Did you see a submission from Yuli or Dana yet?
No, Dana was talking about it,
okay.
But I haven't yet. The submission deadline's midnight tomorrow, so he's still got some time.
Okay, so these guys better get it together, and I'm not going to spoil it, but I provided a few video clips to a wonderful individual, a very nice gentleman, and I know he was going to edit some stuff together. So I know one of those. You got it. I'm not going to spoil it yet, but you've got it's not a touring pro, but you've got a solid candidate that I know is also coming in down the pipe too. So, and maybe a couple of them that I talked to, but I know you got one for sure coming in the next day.
And so where can they go to submit these?
Yep. What do they need to do?
What exactly they need to do?
So you can submit them to Ricky at rickywysocki.com, and you can read my post at most of my social medias. The post was a few weeks back now, so you might have to scroll through social media a little bit. But
sure.
Yes, Ricky, if you want to, basically what it boils down to is you can film the video like we talked about earlier. You get yourself throwing, talk about what you're doing and what your plans are in the future, and really just kind of show me what you're all about. And I'm a pretty good judge of character, so I can judge people when I see a good person. But basically just send your submissions to Ricky at rickywysocki.com with your videos, and I'm gonna go through them, and I'm gonna pick some two people right now, and possibly an international. So if you're an international tuning in, be sure to also submit.
Yeah, get their stuff in there right away.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Now, do you think others will copy you? Others will follow suit with this great idea that you have? You think we'll see a few other top pros do this?
I mean, possibly. I think it'd be cool. I think that it could be. It's definitely unique right now, but I think I wouldn't be opposed to other people doing it as well. I think it's a good for the sport. To support people that are really growing the sport. Like I said, I'm also interested in people that are movers and shakers in their communities too, and not even just their communities, but just in general in the disc golf community. So, yeah, I think it's a great idea, and hopefully I can start a new trend.
Well, I can see it now. Ricky Wysocki's protege going head-to-head with Paul Macbeth's protege, and then there's this big rivalry. And next thing you know, they're like battling it out for Am Worlds.
Yeah,
exactly. Now there's a story. I'm not saying
cool.
we need to manufacture that, but there's a story. There's definitely. No, but it's awesome to see. And again, we know a lot of our top pros have found different ways to give back and do various things, and I think this is an excellent idea. Everybody on the board is genuinely excited about it and think it's awesome what you're doing. So it's good to see. I've got to assume your friends over at Latitude 64 very supportive of the idea and want to back what you got going on here.
Yep. Yeah. I haven't. I'm sure they saw via social media, but I haven't really. I haven't fully explained to them. Once I pick the players, I think that. That will dictate it. Like I said, it's not really. I'm not really discriminating against any any type of. If players whatever disc they throw is fine for me. So, after I have some candidates or people I feel like are a good fit, I'm gonna then talk to them
Awesome. Okay. Well, and I'm sure they love seeing you with the outreach, with the idea, with the originality and everything, and knowing that they're supporting the different things. Do you have any other major off-season endeavors or agendas that you're working on right now? I know we'll have you on in another podcast where we'll really kind of wrap up the season and all. But anything else right now that are in the works that people should know about?
Not that I can release right now, but I feel like I keep saying that every time I'm on the podcast. But
as long as you bring it back to Papa when you're about to release stuff.
All right, that sounds good. I'll definitely give you the insider scoop, and then I'll release the info on there. But no, right now I'm actually just kind of taking a break. I haven't really played that much. I'm just kind of really just taking time to regroup and, really just I haven't really played too much disc golf. I usually do that for the first few weeks or a month in the off season just to gain that fire back that you get when you first start playing, that you really just want to get out there and just play for fun. So once I get that back, I'll be out there soon, and I'll really get that fire back and start playing again.
Fair enough. That makes perfect sense. When are you going to announce this? Is this something we should book you for next Tuesday night?
Yeah, we're gonna be picking. Yeah, we're gonna be picking Thursday, I think. So the submissions end tomorrow, and we'll probably be announcing Thursday or Friday who's on the team, who's made the Team Wysocki bomb. So if you want to schedule something for next Tuesday.
I don't know if they're gonna be able to pick on Thursday, because after this podcast drops, he's gonna get like 100,000 more submissions.
Yeah,
you have to go through,
and you're gonna have to be like, okay, well, I guess I'll just have to wait to announce it on Tuesday live on the show.
Oh snap!
So we're just saying, we're not the number 1, 2, and 3 podcast for nothing here. What? Yeah, we take all 3 of those.
Wow.
Well, so that's something to think about. If you somehow hold it off and you want to make it, big to do, they'll
big to do.
But anyway. Well, Ricky, we appreciate your explanation, and now you've let it soak in a little bit. How's it going to feel tomorrow night when my beloved Cubbies put that final? They get that final. There's a bat right there that the Cub held in one of the old logos. It's gonna get pulled out. Harry Carey's gonna get his glasses on, and it's just gonna beat your Indian senseless.
Kluber.
How does that feel? How does that feel?
I don't know when Kluber blanks the daylights out. I don't know what that's
yeah. Maybe if you guys,
the only thing I'm worried about is
bring in Charlie Sheen, and then I'll worry. Okay.
The only thing I'm worried about is Kluber going twice now on short rest.
I know.
Like that's gonna be the hard part. I mean, I'm with you, Ricky. I'm pulling for the Indians, but
no, I know.
But it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be tough.
In the rotation?
What was that?
Our number 1, your number 4. I like the matchup.
Yeah. That's exactly what it will be. What did you like that Grand Slam tonight? First one since what was it? 2005, I think they had said, or something like that.
The last time they had a Grand Slam?
No. World Series Grand Slam.
No, of course I didn't like it. My question is that.
I was gonna say, so if Ricky's on next week. Wow,
yeah,
you gonna have an Indians cap on if they win.
That's funny. Yeah, there was talks about if there were any.
We'll make Ricky buy a Cubs.
Expensive after they win too. It might double in price. Because I know you don't have one already.
What's cute is people. The good thing about this sports stuff is people know where Ohio is, and they actually give a shit where Ohio is on a map now. So you guys have accomplished that this year.
Okay.
With your sport. So for that,
I'm really gonna pound it in their brain.
That's right.
Tomorrow. No, it's funny. I have some friends that actually worked at the casino, and they were like actually saying like, oh yeah, the Cubs fans are actually respectful about, they're actually good sports fans. I'm like most. So I'll give you that.
No, and I can't say that about everywhere. We talked about that in the regular show. Is there's jerk sports fans everywhere, no matter where you go, no matter where you travel. Generally, there's going to be jerk sports fans. I can't associate too much with the North Side people in Chicago in terms of.
Did you go there?
I did. I will say I went down there.
$200 to get in the bars.
No,
you can see the game.
No, it's funny because it's a really surreal experience when you're. Just outside of, say, left field, for instance, there's all the houses that you see, all the rooftops or whatever. And what a lot of them have is it costs, thousands of dollars to go get the rooftop seats or whatever. But when you are on the street, they actually, a lot of them put a TV of some sorts right in the window. So
That's
you
awesome.
you literally have people watching the game. You could practically reach out and touch Wrigley Field behind you, but you're facing the other way, looking at the screen.
That's awesome.
Of
Yeah.
somebody that's got it down in their window. So I took a lot of video a few weeks ago when I was there. I took a lot of photos. When I went there on Sunday night, I took a ton of video, and I'll have to put a little thing together for it. And just seeing all these people enjoying it out in the streets. I saw a disc golfer, Leo Borowski.
Oh yeah, Leo.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I saw him. He works. He was doing freelance work. I don't know if it was for MLB directly or for it wasn't Fox.
Okay.
I forget who he said, but he was in one of the multi-million-dollar trucks. That's helping
That's
produce
awesome,
the
yeah.
show, and it's just it's a really cool environment. I'll admit I didn't try to go into any of the bars. I was just walking around.
Yeah, because we had heard that it was like some of the bars were $100, $200.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
Price
heard.
tags.
They,
I was
they,
wondering if that because some of you can go up to. I didn't know if the bars you could go up to the top of the bar but that's the building. Where you
yeah,
can
no,
watch.
those are the actual houses that that have been now designated and really have obviously turned into that being one of their main
Revenue.
revenue sources. But
Yeah.
in terms of the bars, and of course, I think like any neighborhood field, you have the issue, or ballpark, you have the issue of just general overcrowding, because you're talking about I know a lot of the bars were fined because they just simply had too many people in there watching the games. So I think that's what was part of the whole cover fees and all the different options they were trying to go with, and you could find plenty that were free. But
I feel
just
like the fines will be worth it.
I'm sure they're making enough money. Yeah.
yeah, that's true. But just walking around in the streets was awesome. And then I'll say this, and I know it's tough to say, in hindsight, had they lost, but when they won, I got plenty of footage of literally hundreds of people high-fiving the line of cops. Everybody's, in perfectly good order. You have your obvious drunk people, but for the most part, everyone was. But that's on a win.
Are you going down there tomorrow night?
No. I actually, that's funny because I'm no joke. I thought about the idea of like, wonder what it would be like in the streets out in Cleveland. I've never been to the stadium. I thought like, well, that's what 5.5, 6 hour drive.
But that's not where the party.
That's not the real exactly.
You're gonna want Wrigleyville would be where you'd want to be, which is an hour and 20 minutes from where we are.
So that's where, and I got to admit, tomorrow I'm doing I'm going to be setting up a booth at a park and rec show. So I'll be actually about an hour and a half west of here, trying to get disc golf into more courses around the state. But when I'm done with that, I could make the trip south. That's an idea. I just might.
Well,
you might
but
find me
I
in
think that video will
Wrigleyville
be
again tomorrow
the other
night.
day pretty quick, because after they lose, it's not going to be as cool.
That's true. I mean, you're gonna see tumbleweeds blowing down the.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
You're gonna get
just
less
sad
views
drunk
as
fans.
as the Indians slowly ruin
All
their
right.
chances.
So let me ask you this, Ricky. This is a semi-serious question. Other than having the second longest World Series drought in MLB baseball, tell me something endearing. Tell me something lovable about the Indians that separate them from any other team or make them special. Is there anything?
Yeah, well, people like to complain about their name. That's for sure.
Okay.
They like to complain about the Native
Sure.
Americans
Being
and how
controversial. Yep.
they're offended. But actually, it's funny because I was looking into it a while back, but they were saying that 9 out of 10 Native Americans don't even care about the name.
Okay.
It's just like a stereotype that people that hate the Indians think that.
Okay.
So that was funny.
Yeah. Either way, I don't think I'd run around saying I hate the Indians.
Yeah. I think it's cool that Sandy Alomar is the first base coach. He used to be an old
Sure.
player. I'm sure
Yep.
everyone
Yeah.
remembers the Alomar
Yeah.
brothers. So I think that's pretty neat.
Sandy and Roberto.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So they have one semi-lovable historic figure. Okay. Do you have anything else?
I used to watch him when the Kenny Lofton, Jim Thome, all those days. That was I used to when I lived there. Those were my players. Omar Vizquel, Kenny Lofton, Jim Thome,
Okay.
El Bell, all those guys. So
like
those
me,
were my
you have a
days.
couple. You have a couple of favorites, as did I. I mean, I know not everybody when they think of the Cubs thinks of Mark Grace and Andre Dawson and Ryan Sandberg and Sean Dunston. That's fine. So you got a couple of lovable guys.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of Hall of Famers that have come out of their era ever?
Not too many. Not that I can say of. No.
Okay.
There is not.
Again, I'm just trying to find reasons other than just geographic, I'm trying to find reasons why people might be drawn to the Indians organization. And I'm not saying just like, oh, you know, everybody has to pick a team to root for, but there's just never been, like, I can think of a lot of other major league teams. If you said the Cubs were wiped off the face of the earth tomorrow, I could think of a dozen other major league teams where, like, you know what, here's all these special reasons why I might be drawn to them.
Yeah.
I can't think of one with the Indians.
Actually,
they're just kind of there.
Cleveland has quite a few Hall of Famers. I mean, you've got some guy named Cy Young.
Okay.
All right.
Some guy, he's decent.
I guy
had no idea.
from our Eddie Murray.
Okay.
Eddie Murray, we grew up with, obviously. Gaylord Perry, a little before our time. You've got Bob Feller, who's a Hall of Famer, clearly, as it says. Bert Blyleven, he was. He's right up our alley.
Okay. Yeah.
And of course Roberto Alomar.
I think he's before me.
Yeah.
Bert's a little before you. That was like 85, right when you and I probably just started getting into collecting cards and stuff.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Okay.
Satchel Paige, famous African-American pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
Frank Robinson played for them for 2 years.
Who was,
3 years.
I believe, there tonight. Is that not? I think they showed.
Frank Robinson, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I mean, they've got their Hall of Famers, and the funny thing is, you've got for the Cubs, you've got Ernie Banks.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, me personally, I'm sure I could look it up. I can't think of many older ones, but then you've got your Grace, Sandberg. Is Mark Grace even in the Baseball Hall of
Kerry
Fame?
Wood. No, I don't think he is. I don't. His number's not retired or anything like that. No.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's just a you and I because we grew up around here thing.
He was he was definitely our time frame.
Yeah, but
anyway, and I mean that as a genuine serious. There's someone who challenged me on my board on my wall the other night when we were talking about the two teams, and that was a legitimate question. Is I don't know what somebody is drawn to when it comes to the Cleveland Indians. If you don't live from there, I can't see a lot of people being like, well, I didn't have another team I really liked, and I live in Arizona, so go Indian. Like I don't see
it's
that.
like the Patriots.
Yeah, or the Cubs. A team that a lot of people from around the country.
They remind me of they're like the Dallas Cowboys of baseball, pretty much.
Yeah,
it seems like.
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
I mean, the Cubs, for whatever reason, they draw a lot of people, and I think part of that is,
historic.
They're partially. I think it's like how you got on. WGN is carried on a lot of cable stations, so you got Cubs games quite a bit. And that's the same thing. I don't understand and maybe Ricky can help me. I don't understand the infatuation with Notre Dame. Like, that they're a huge draw every year, but to me, it's like they're a mediocre college football team, but they're always on NBC. I don't know.
Right. So, that makes I can
some
see
deeply rooted affiliations there somewhere.
Well, it's a history. It's Notre Dame was so big for so long, and I think the Cubs have been. I think. Yeah, I mean, and Chicago's such a big city that so many people come in and out of that city and live there for a while, and it's...
Well, and Harry Carey was Bob Uecker like in his own ways and had his own personality and very much had, and I think the field has its own personalities and the story and the location of the field and then everything that goes along with what the field has been and meant. There's just a lot of history there. So
can't wait till they tear that dump down.
Yeah. Anyway. Ricky, do you have any final Hail Marys for your team? Anything you'd like to
let's just we need pitching. That's what it comes down to. You guys are good at hitting. We just gotta minimize that. It comes down to pitching, really.
Yeah.
And I think it's getting a pitcher's duel tomorrow. I think that there's only been one of those. The 1-0 game was the only one that's really been a pitcher's duel. Everything else has been an offensive battle. So I think that it might be a defensive pitcher's duel for the final game.
Well, it will be exciting, and I'll be the first to admit it's exciting no matter what. The fact that the Cubs are here, the fact that this is something that's happened in my lifetime, also for the Indians, for you in your lifetime. Like just the fact that it's happening is obviously exciting for them to have the best record in baseball, and just so many things that a lot of people for literally decades never thought would happen. And it's gotten me a little bit more rejuvenated and everything else. So it's definitely exciting to see. And no matter what, it's been, and I'll say that again after every game I've said, Maybe not as much about this one. After every game, though, it's been a great battle. It's been pitching, and the series has been phenomenal, and the storyline now is that much better. Being all knotted up, going to 7, and
I was wondering this. Was that guy that robbed the home run? Is he there?
Bartman? No, you talking about the?
For the Cubs a couple years ago, Bartman?
No, Brent. Bartman. Steve Bartman.
Steve Bartman. No, he didn't rob a home run. He robbed an out. He was along the first base line.
Third base.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sorry. Yeah, third base line. I pointed to the third with my arm, but the third base line. And Moises Alou.
Yeah, Moises Alou
went for the catch, and
he
Bartman reached out.
Intercepted.
And if you look, as I've said, I remember that time. Other people reached out, but he was the one that caught it. So that made him look like the bad guy.
Yeah.
Is he probably was scared for his life if he went back.
Yeah.
Oh no. He had. There was all sorts of articles written about him and everything else about his legitimate safety for his life and depression and everything else that ensued from that. I mean, obviously that was a really big deal, and that was Johnny V and I were we together at Fridays when that happened?
We were together at Fridays.
We had a TGI Fridays talking disc golf stuff. The game was on, and it was the next night where we actually went down to the game. I went down there a little early, and then he came down, and we hung out on that same street I was just talking about, and where I was the other night. So, yeah, there's some pretty cool history there, but
Nice.
unfortunately,
I was just wondering that.
No Bartman. So shut your face. All right, just shut your face. All right. All
Dang,
right.
maybe he can help us out. We need him out there.
You need that 10th man.
Yeah,
in case it goes to
like him in Cleveland. He won't be shunned there.
in case it goes to overtime.
in case
as
Yuli
calls it.
Yuli says it goes to overtime.
Oh, really?
Yeah. All right, Ricky.
Much of a baseball fan.
What's that?
Is Yuli much of a baseball fan?
Yeah, it was just a funny line he made earlier in the regular show.
Yeah, we were just
giving him a hard time because he called it overtime. He said it's going to go into overtime, referencing just extra innings, and we were giving him a hard time for it. So,
that's funny.
All right, Ricky. Well, we do appreciate it. Certainly, let's be in touch regarding what you've got going on and your selection process here and your announcement and all that stuff. We're excited to see it happen, and we wish all of your entrants good luck. And I know you've got probably plenty of deciding to do and some reviewing to do and looking back and narrowing down and all that stuff. You got a little work on your plate, so. Plenty of time. There'll be plenty of scoreless innings for you tomorrow to review all of these other guys.
Oh, no.
All right, that was my last jab, I think. All right, Ricky.
All right.
Seriously, thanks for joining us, and we'll talk again soon in a few days.
Yeah, sounds good, guys.
All right,
Thanks.
have a good night.
Bye.
We'll see you.
All right, and the losing team's biggest fan.
I was gonna say one of the other reasons I'm rooting for the Indians is that I think the Cubs are going to have a chance to come back in other years.
Okay, you think the Indians are more of a one-hit wonder?
I think the Indians,
and that's what you want to see?
I think the Indians are less likely to make it to the World Series in the next couple of years. And as a Brewer fan, just like the Royals last year, it gives me more hope because the Cleveland is a small market team, much like the Brewers, much like the Royals were. The Cubs are the 5th highest payroll.
Yeah, you had to look that up.
I did. Well, I knew they were.
I know. Don't pass it off like you didn't look it up. Go on.
I did look it up. I didn't know if they were 4th or 5th. That was my problem. I knew they were the top 5 though.
Yep.
I'm looking, and Cleveland is the 21st.
Okay.
Brewers are the 29th. The Brewers had a much higher payroll, and then now they've scaled back the past couple of years. But it to me, it's always an under. Like Cleveland is they were the underdog going in. Then they became the favorite when they were up 3-1, and now I think they're back to being the underdog. So, but they do have Kluber going, so that's how I feel. I'd rather see I'm always a big fan of watching the underdog and the small market team because everyone's giving and rightfully so, Theo Epstein some credit for building this team. He inherited a lot of talent, and he went out and he spent a lot of money. I mean, he's a good combination of both. So I just, it's like, to me, rooting for the Cubs is almost as bad as rooting for the Yankees. You're like,
yeah, but
you're like,
they're so different.
They both have a pretty decent farm system, and they went out and paid a crap ton of money for players.
But there's not the storied history of what the Yankees have accomplished or done.
Correct. The Yankees
and what I love so much about the Cubs or their fans or whatever, and I liken them to.
They'll no longer be the lovable losers. That's the
but
problem.
they'll still be fans, and I like. And
No, I agree.
I have this certain affinity as a Cubs fan that I feel is very similar as a Packers fan. Before the Packers were good in the 90s or Favre and then some, like they sucked, and we still had sold out.
They're like 20 years of
sold
suckage.
out crowds at Lambeau every single weekend, and that's what we've seen at Wrigley for all these years.
Yeah.
And so
no, I'm not.
that's
I'm not
where I
denying
always,
that.
especially, and not everybody's calling me a bandwagon fan,
Oh,
but just
by-
in general,
by
when
no
people are
means.
saying, talking about the people being bandwagon fan. Go to a Cubs game any day of the year, and it's a sold out crowd. There's the history that's there, and there's so much more to it. It's not this flash in the pan idea.
Oh no, I never would I say it was. It's just that, again, you give. Look at the top 5 teams: the Dodgers, Yankees, Red Sox, Tigers, Cubs. The Red Sox, I think, were the only one that didn't make the playoffs because this is an issue with baseball in general. With baseball, money talks, money buys players. I've always been a big fan of thinking there should be a salary cap for baseball, or a shared revenue is a better term to put it, shared revenue. But it's not going to happen in baseball because you've got teams like the Cubs that have very wealthy TV contracts that are not going to end up sharing that with teams like the Brewers or Cleveland or the Royals or whomever. So, and it's the same reason I'm not a big fan of the Cardinals. Cardinals are more of a big market team too. So, but I'm more or less of a fan of the Cardinals because they're in our division, and they beat up on the Brewers for quite a long time.
Well, and someone had asked earlier as to something why there's this vindictive nature, and I think we touched on it at the opening of the show or spiteful or vindictive. The whole idea of cheering for someone, like you said, whether it was in city or out of city, or
sure.
I just think there's so much of that, and a lot of people just want to not see a certain team succeed for really no other reason other than.
I've got reasons to root for the Indians. I don't have a lot of reasons to root against the Cubs. I'll be happy for all their fans, who went through,
their entire life,
years, and
their entire life
of not winning, but they went through years of suckage, just like the Packers did. I mean, the Cubs will come and go every 10 to 15 years where they'll put up a solid team, but and as I said, because they've almost always had a big salary cap, so they're able to build up a team. And whether it's when we went back in the 2000s, they had a really good team, and then they tailed off. And it's just the way it works. It's the way baseball works. Money helps out quite a bit. It didn't actually. I'm not sure if the Yankees I think missed the playoffs this year.
So did the Tigers.
But and the Yankees have a lot of money tied up in bad players right now. But again, that's the type of team that's going to be able to sell off and then just go buy a big hitter and a big pitcher. I
want a Bobby Bonilla contract. All right, so
25 years of $3 million or whatever.
Good night, disc golf nerd, and yeah, we do apologize. There has been a lot of disc golf talk. Then again,
a lot of baseball talk. You mean?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Not a lot of disc golf talk.
What we can touch on right now is the official announcement of the PDGA A-tier schedule. And I think what was most interesting about that, it was recently the PDGA kind of stated like, hey, we're going to try and trim up A-tiers. We're going to look at the strategic placing of them a little bit more. We have these big events. So we're not just going to, and it was funny listening to Steve's story, we're not just going to make every A-tier
95 is a trim down. Is that trim down?
Yeah, I think
I'm asking because I don't know.
I believe so, and I think
don't recall how many there were last year.
And I don't know off the top of my head either, but I'm guessing that's a trimmed down number. And because I know I read at one point that they wanted to keep it around 100.
Okay.
Meaning for the 2017 season. Wisconsin, correction, I was going to say 2. Technically, I believe there's 3, in that we have the Disc Golf Pro Tour's previous stop being the Silver Cup will remain an A-tier. This upcoming year, the Mad City Open, which has dipped in and out of being an A-tier and was also a national tour at one point, and then the Lake Superior Open, which, fair or not, is hard to say is Wisconsin because it will attract.
Far north.
It's
Mostly
so far
Minnesota.
north it'll attract almost all people from Minnesota. From what I heard, great event, but it's so far almost removed that'd be kind of like the relevance of somebody in San Diego talking about a super Northern California. Like it's
it's so far away. It's removed from us,
and it's a totally different player base that will pull from it. So,
I think I'm going to release this pod after show. I think I'm going to release it the same day. I think I'm going to release them both tonight because of the Ricky
timeliness
stuff,
of it.
the timeliness of Ricky, and maybe the baseball talk, but whatever. But more so for Ricky because we have discussed about how he can do his stuff, and if it ends tomorrow at midnight, we should.
Correct.
I'll release the
I was
after
thinking
show.
the
I'll
same.
release them both at the same time in 2 separate downloads. So.
Matt Whalen on the board says, I downloaded the 2017 PDGA NT Major and A-tier schedule tonight, and I can't wait to see Smashbox at all the big events, the big ones again next year. I hope that we are going to, in fact,
Me
be
too.
at many of the biggest or big ones, and we're working on that as we speak, so look forward to that. More baseball talk. Do Terry or Johnny have any ideas on how to heal a strained elbow tendon? Potentially tendonitis, maybe golfer's elbow. I would talk to like Hannah Croak. She'd be a good person to talk to. Unfortunately, Johnny and I know just less than nothing when it comes to physical ailments. When you have bodies that are in this tip-top physique and form, you don't need to worry about injuries because you've got it all under control.
right.
But in a totally serious way, no, we unfortunately neither of us have had that ailment, and nor would we really be able to speak intelligently. Not that stops us on any other subject, but we would not be able to speak to that.
I'm going to go with rest.
Reggie asks, is there a reason for saturation of A-tiers in the Midwest? I'm going to go as far as say you call it saturation. I'm going to say
It's population base.
correct. And here's a specific thing I have to back that up. Today I was out on the PDGA website, cleverly found on PDGA.com. We'd like to thank all of them for all the support throughout the year. And when you click on, if you go to courses, and what will happen is, if you go to probably course directory, you go to course directory, and it'll ask if you want it to allow for your specific location.
I mean, it has a. I was gonna say yes. There's a as you're gonna get to. There's a ton of courses in the Midwest.
Well, let me further that point though, and this is what's amazing. When you can click on it, you can select an area, a state, or whatever. When I zoom out just a couple times, it is unbelievable to look at. And Johnny, if you really wanted to work on this graphic, could. It is insane to look at that. They show heat areas or hot buttons, whatever you want to call them. It is amazing that right over Chicago, there's a bubble. And for courses, it says 1,677, and that's not just Chicago. You can just click on it, and it will show you that encompasses...
That's the greater Midwest area.
Exactly. Ohio, Iowa, Michigan, Minnesota, Illinois, a little bit of Missouri, Indiana, Kentucky. It is the single most concentrated area when it comes to courses.
Yep.
And it just sticks out like a sore thumb. I see 1,677, and then a span that includes Montana, North Dakota, and Wyoming says 20. And again, that's population. I understand that.
Yep.
But the point is, when you're looking at the hotbed of disc golf, you're looking at where the most courses are, the most PDGA members, the most players. If you wanted like best bang for your buck, you need to move to the Smashbox Studios area, not to Johnny's house.
Please
but
don't.
you really
Well,
need to
if
move
they're gonna
within
pay good rent.
You need to move within 2 hours of us because we are in the hottest of hot areas.
And course density basically directly equates with number of players in our area. So the more players we have, the more A-tiers we can service
host
without a lot of, I mean, there will be some overlap, but not a lot of overlap. I mean, when we probably have, 250,000 players in our area.
He's just making that number up.
I totally made that up. There's not 250,000
No,
players.
there might be.
Well,
I'm not saying there's not.
Casual
I'm just
players,
saying you made that up.
which I would fair to guess. I bet there's 250,000 casual players in all those states. But as far as like tournament players, nowhere near that.
Yeah, so that very to me very easily answers your question. And of course, you can hover over various areas. I hover over what looks to be drawing from a little bit of Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, Nevada, and California, and it's just kind of
I'm actually a little surprised there's not more A tiers out in California, because I'm only seeing 5 of them.
Don't reference. So a little. I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
Don't exclusively, and this is a little PSA for all of you out there. Don't exclusively rely on the
map.
Map. It may be close to scale, but I don't think it's entirely to scale. And it can be a tad misleading, especially when it shows like there's an event in Eau Claire, and that really I think is indicating like the Lake Superior Open or something, or some other event. Maybe it's not, but it there's not an event in Eau Claire.
No,
that map shows you there's not but so anyway, the point is, and if you look, like Silver Cup looks like it's taking place in Sturgeon Bay, kind of. Right.
Yeah, it's a little.
So
off
it's a reference point, but don't look at the map that's currently on PDGA.com and be like, oh, those are where all the A-tiers are. It's just kind of a general reference point.
Yeah.
Just to clarify that. But anyway, yeah, I mean, events are where the players are, and you need good backing, you need good sponsorship, you need all the different reasons for
tournament directors, volunteers,
all of those different things.
They're all requirements.
So, yeah, thought that was interesting though to see that. What we didn't talk about in the regular show, which we meant to, but you're getting it all now. If you're still with us, I hope. I put out a post on Facebook that was misinterpreted last night. I know. Is that your look of shock? Do it again. I missed it. Okay, yes. So, what I was really doing was taking a polite swing at the people that were frustrated, at players that were frustrated that they didn't get into the Glassblown Open amateur side. And what I had essentially said is, large event should come with the disclaimer saying that there's not going to be enough room for your division, and a couple other things. And yes, you need to pay for it ahead of time. I was kind of taking a little comment toward our players because I saw this onslaught of people saying, I didn't get into GBO. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't understand it, and they just think it should be bigger. And we talked with Bobby. We talked with Rusko a few weeks ago, and they are very diligent. They're very strategic in what they're saying is there's a happy medium of where we have to have a cap here, and that's what we feel provides the best overall experience to the right number of players. So maybe 1,500 people would show up in Emporia if they allowed it, but they think your experience will be diminished if you do that. So that's why they've put the caps where they were, but there was just a lot of really frustrated. Understandably, there were a lot of frustrated people saying last night that they were on the waiting list and that they weren't getting in. But let me follow that up. There's also a lot of people that said, I have no idea if I can go or not, but I got on to save my spot.
Save my spot,
and that could have been in the regular registration.
Get a player's pack if maybe they just want
or
one.
in the waitlist registration. So don't give up all hope just yet if you're on the waitlist. I think if you're in the top 5 or 10 of any of the waitlist, I'm not going to say you're in, but I think your chances are very reasonable. Because there's a lot of people that are like, well, I don't know if I have the day off. I don't know if my buddy got in, who I would go with, because if he doesn't get in, I'm not going to go. And so a lot of people just kind of sign up, and don't lose all hope yet. But
I'd guess what did you say? How many of the top? If you're in the top
10, I said in most divisions.
I was gonna say 20. I'd say 20. You have a good shot of getting in. Other than that, rough.
Matt asks, how could GBO be bigger? The only way they could be bigger is if they had more courses, and I think they're at a max capacity for courses. Mm-hmm. You could play less golf, which some people argue they don't want to do. They feel like they're right in the sweet spot of the amount of rounds that you play. Last year, due to weather, they actually had to reduce the rounds for some of the divisions, and some people were really frustrated with that. Of course, out of DD's control.
Yep.
So you don't want to have even possibly less rounds get played, because I think they're down to 3 days for most people right now, or 3 rounds. They're bigger's not always better. No,
because when you add part of the allure and just the great all-around event that GBO is all the extras.
Correct.
You know, it's not just the tournament. It's not just the players pack. It's the fact that every single night there's something going on. There's a poker party. There's a block party. There's a
bowling,
movie, a
mini-golf.
movie, mini golf. Like, you can find something to do when you know, because as we see, there's how many on the waiting list right now?
like a couple hundred probably.
A couple hundred, 300 I thought I saw or something.
Sure.
When you have 1,000 amateurs there, that's more things you need to find for people to do and try to make them happy and try to make their experience as good as everybody else's. And that gets really tough, especially for Emporia, which isn't that large of a city in general. You know, they embrace golfers, and they, you know, as we've seen by their billboard, apparently, I think Emac's the mayor now.
That's what I heard.
So
And Bobby's the secretary? No? What's Rusco?
Treasurer? I don't know.
Okay.
I just saw a big billboard with EMAC on it. It says, "We perfected disc golf."
Yeah.
So, and that's great. And the city is phenomenal in this and that. But having that many players is really tough to appease all of them and find things for them to do and make their experience as top notch as it can be. So, you know, if you're listening to this and you didn't get in and you're upset about it, sign up earlier.
No.
And I know it's tough.
Have better luck.
Have better luck.
Yeah, because they literally went through, and I know they pushed it out there, but they literally did like 700 or 800 registrations in under 30 minutes. Or
it was
under an hour. Or
it was an
something like
hour. I thought Bobby
overall. I mean, they had some individual divisions, you know, that went obviously a little
much
quicker than
faster.
another. Yes.
Or you know what? Play a different division. If you find out your division is going to be limited, step up.
Yeah.
Because usually the higher the division, the more spots there's going to be when in regards to amateurs. So the advanced division is going to be the biggest, more than likely, followed by the amateur, AM1, I guess it would be. I still live in 1999, so advanced amateur and rec, but AM2 versus AM1 versus whatever. So, you know, because you're going there to have an experience as an amateur. It's bonus if you can win, but there's only going to be, you know, a dozen winners that week. So
I think everybody's a winner. All participants, we want them all to be winners. You all get participation ribbons.
They are. I think it's in the players pack as a participation ribbon.
We'd love that.
So.
Disc Golf Nerd thinks that EMAC is the mayor and Rusco is the corporate CEO who actually is in power. So if it's going to be like regular politics.
That's true.
That seems a little bit of
Rusco
collusion between EMAC. Yeah, I mean, that sounds on par. We should
strings.
just start spreading that. Everybody.
No.
That's pretty much how it goes. Bobby is over at the City Chamber of Commerce. Yeah, that's and working in marketing, getting paid $500,000 a year in marketing or something. I don't know.
What?
I don't know.
Wow.
Just some good old small town politics.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, Steve Finaris. I think I called him out on our regular podcast saying he's one of those bitter Southsiders that's a dirty, drunken, slobbing Sox fan. I'm just kidding, Steve. He's my boy. But I know he's a Sox fan. And he was one of those bitter guys saying, I don't care anybody but the Cubs because he's from the South Side. Yeah. I get it. And he says, I didn't think it was going to happen, but this leads up to one of the best games in sports. Nothing better than a Game 7 for the championship, whether it be baseball, basketball, or hockey. Good luck tomorrow.
Very true.
So that is very true. I think any sports.
Game 7s are
now,
always great.
Was there or was. I don't want to get too much, but never mind. I don't want to get back into baseball.
No, we'll talk. Maybe we'll chat next week.
Yeah. When they're the champs.
Okay.
Cubs.
Sure.
Champions. Do you want to wager against them?
No.
Why not?
Because I don't have anything to gain or lose by wagering.
That's what a wager's for.
I know.
Is to gain or lose.
I don't have any, like, I have a hard time wagering things I don't really care about. I mean.
Let's wager a week's salary.
a week's of your salary versus a week of my salary?
No, your salary against my salary.
Oh, how about my salary and you have to pay you have to match that?
No, I don't got time for that. Anyway.
Because I'd never collect.
No, you wouldn't.
I'd be waiting.
I think we covered most things. I wish we would have talked about GBO and the A-tiers during the regular show. But,
Well, we're going to release this just like a regular show. It's not going to be your standard after show.
it's going to be a bonus.
Yeah, it's going to be a bonus episode, which means there will be no Friday episode.
Oh, man.
so
Unless I
instead-
create another one.
We could.
I'll just me yelling Cubs win for a while.
Awesome.
Wouldn't that be a good idea?
No.
J Ray posting. Oh, man, I gotta love seeing all the action out there.
All right.
All right. Well, I'm gonna. I got a long day myself on Wednesday, so by
Yeah.
the time you're listening to this,
Ugh,
it's
I know.
longer than normal.
I've got a new schedule now
Uh-huh.
that. Don't even start with me, mister. That you won't probably wake up until 11 tomorrow.
I will be in another city halfway across the state by 11 tomorrow.
Congratulations. There's a first for everything.
Uh-huh.
I now have to drop both my kids off at their respective school, which is in two complete opposite directions because my wife now has to be to work earlier. So now I need to be out the door by 7 a.m. every morning to drop two kids off, one by 7:15, the other by 7:40, and then get to work just a hair after 8, which kind of sucks.
It does. I don't disagree.
Having to get up on Wednesday mornings.
I bet it sucks. It would.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to.
I know.
So, 4, Harry Carey, Bill Murray.
John Cusack,
Yep.
Vince Vaughn.
Exactly. Eddie Vedder, and all of the rest of our staffing crew here at WGN. Now, for Johnny V and myself, for Ricky, the losing Indian, Wysocki, and
You're going to look so bad on this.
it's my show. I can. We can say whatever we want.
We'll
It
go back
doesn't
and
matter.
edit and post.
Exactly. It's Wysocki. We do thank you guys. If you endured all the baseball talk, again, this might be once in my lifetime I get to thoroughly enjoy it the way I do. So too bad. Sorry if it was too much baseball for you. We hope you enjoyed our overtime show. Thanks to Paul Ulibarri. Again, we'll see you guys soon. Probably next week when you step inside the Smash Box. Cubs and